in an accident, one thing leads to another. Your injury leads to treatment. Treatment leads to hospital bills. Bills lead to debt. Debt leads to stress. The advocates can help relieve that stress. Having an advocate attorney on your side leads to faster resolutions, fair outcomes, and a peaceful recovery for you. You deserve an advocate.
This is The Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find The Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, The Monty Show live on Friday, September 19th, 2025. It is almost the weekend. Next week. The longest month of your life comes to an end this week, and we're going to do it with Football Friday on The Monty Show, as always, presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. I tell you every single day on this show, you need clear, risk-free advice when it matters most. When you've been in an accident, when you've gotten hurt at work. Again, I tell you, these busy last weekends of the summer, before it's too cold, the kids are out on their scooters. We're all out playing golf. If the worst happens, get to theadvocates.com 24/7, 365, and it won't cost you a dime because you never pay the advocates out of pocket. No consultation fees, no big retainers, just clear, risk-free advice at theadvocates.com. And I would remind you, it is a live attorney 24/7, 365. No chatbots, no AI. None of that stuff. It's simply put, this collar thing, like, let me get this right. Theadvocates.com. Jake, are we buttoning the top button today?
I mean, on that polo, I like it, but it is Friday, so I mean, if you would like to execute, if you would like to execute an unbuttoning of the top button, then that's what it is.
Okay. I mean, Brandon Price. Hello, Brandon. Let's go Utes. Indeed. Huge weekend. Anybody checking their ducats? Yeah, the line moved back to 3.5 for Utah tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And I've got my ass kicked on this argument all week long because I am heated over the fact that Utah and Texas Tech are playing at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Well, Monty, it's the biggest TV viewership slot in college football. Nobody cares. Nobody cares because, again, what's going to happen? What's going to happen is it's going to get 4 million views, and people are going to like, see, nobody likes the Big 12. Right? I mean, and I have taken so much flack for, it's a Big 12 show, Marty. Like all week, right? All week. Oh, Big 12 show. Utah fan, do you even watch Tech ball, bro? Like all week long. No,
never. I've never. Don't know who the quarterback is. Not sure that there's any other team in Texas besides Texas themselves. And that's just watching Ollie Gordon last night score touchdowns was awesome, dude. That was great.
Just couldn't let that one go, could you? I got Jake blowing up my old phone there, dude. I'm telling you, all Oak State fans are going to Valhalla watching Ollie Gordon dominate.
Yeah.
And I'll see you in Valhalla.
Thank you. I was just trying to get that drop into the show.
And I'll see you in Valhalla.
Yeah, that's the only reason I said it. It's the only reason I said it.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying.
It's working.
I am really interesting. I'm really interested to see how that viewership does. I think if you're a Michigan fan, this week is a huge week for you. You've got Michigan at Nebraska in a game that I just don't think many people expect much out of. And I think it's a really, really big week for Bryce Underwood because if what we saw out of Bryce last week against, really the Girl Scouts, like a nothing team. But what you left the nothing team win with was a feeling that your quarterback knows how to run the ball. And I'm very curious if Michigan allows that to happen. Oh, wait, I'm more curious if Nebraska, who's got a top 15 defense in the country, allows that to happen. And again, I know we're in early hours here of the season, but I think it's a really big moment in time for Michigan. I think BYU tomorrow, East Carolina, plus 6.5 for East Carolina at home. I think Bear Bachmeier's got to have a showing in this game throwing the football. Because I think, listen, if Bear can't throw the football, this season could very quickly collapse with, credible opponents. And Bear has not shown, and I think justifiably so, even against a team like Stanford, who I think is really weak. BYU is not really throwing the football at all. And you're not gonna show up at East Carolina and think that this is going to be a walk in the park. Now, East Carolina's got to keep the flags in the referees' pockets because they tend to take a lot of penalties. But I think Bear Bachmeier's got to show he can throw the football because he's got one of the best defenses in the conference, let alone they probably are top 10 in the country right now at BYU defensively. Obviously, the Civil War. This is going to be one of the most disappointing, I think, matchups we've had in a decade.
Yeah, not sure that's much of a war.
I think that's probably true. I just don't, I think, and I want to be gentle because Oregon State fans generally soil themselves anytime I say anything.
Oh, you hate the Pac-12, Monty.
Why do you hate us? Time to put some emojis in the chat, bro. Like, this might be the worst Oregon State team that I've ever seen. And that's saying something because don't forget I'm an old Mormon who's going to die soon.
Right.
This is and I don't know that talent-wise this is the worst Oregon State team we've ever seen. In fact, I'm sure it's not.
We built this program on NIL.
I don't know what's going on inside those four walls in Corvallis, but you're going to hop on a bus and you're going to drive your sad asses to Eugene, and I think you're going to have a funeral. And I think this is going to be, because Dan Lanning, I think, is acutely aware that his team is lacking respect. Because there ain't a whole lot of people that are talking about Oregon being the best team in the country. And I think it is going to be really, really important that they find a way, Oregon State find a way to not lose by 50 points.
Yeah, because I just don't know that they will. I mean, I just think you're just asking too much. I mean, I don't think you have the disrespect factor here that you've had in other weeks with Oregon, with whoever they're playing. But I just think that, Dan Lanning, again, it matters how you beat the bad teams, dude. So put up your 50, 60 points and ride off into the sunset, man.
Of course. And I think it is just really important. I cannot say it enough. It is really important that if Oregon State loses by 50, I think you might see a coaching change. And I know that probably feels extreme, but if you watch the way this team has lost games, and if you watch the way that this football team is operated, I mean, you're in the land of the tree huggers, Jake. I think Autzon's an incredibly difficult place to go and play if you're a pretty crappy football team. And I think Oregon State's a pretty crappy football team.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's difficult to go to Autzen and play if you don't have opportunities. If you don't have opportunities on the field to win a matchup, I just think that makes your life incredibly difficult. And you wind up playing, you wind up playing on your half of the 50 the whole game, and maybe you have one play here, one play there in the whole game, and that's basically it. And that's because it's a tough place to play. And again, Autzon's one thing. It's possible to go in there and win a ball game, but you got to be really talented and you got to be really well coached. And I just don't think that Oregon State is either of those. And I look at, this 34.5 point, number in favor of Oregon. And while that is heavy, I would not be surprised if this was, 48-10, 55-10. That wouldn't surprise me even a little bit.
I think it's going to be more than that. I think this is going to be a 60-point performance, and I think heads will roll. Honest to God, I hate to say it because Oregon State, I just think has not gotten out of the way of the tragedy that the Pac-12 turned itself into, and I just continue to say there's no reason the Pac-12 had to do that. And I think the ultimate victim is Oregon State because I think their fans deserve better. But just so much to get to. Steely, good day to you. You guys have a pleasure cruise this week. Happy Friday as well. Mike Smith got filtered? What did you say that you got filtered, dude? You got filtered. Brandon Price says 24-20 Red Raiders. I think this is a new one. Mountain Mama got filtered. We'll see. Brandon, I think that's going to be very close to the actual outcome of this game. And we'll preview it in hour number 2 of the show. We'll get to it. I think you might be right. I think the BYU game, Norge, I'm surprised that wasn't your first comment. Oregon State was horrible in the 70s and 80s, dude. Not like this. You have real talent, and they don't like each other. And when you look at Oregon State and you look at the way that they are losing even at Reeser, the quarterback is not snapping the ball and the entire offensive line is firing. And it's pissing people off. Like you have the right tackle last week going after Malik Murphy for not snapping the football. It goes onto the sideline and Murph is getting after, like it's ugly right now in Corvallis. And I didn't think we would see that. I thought, listen, and I thought when they got the new Reeser and that awesome game against Oregon, and it just went straight downhill from there. The civil ass kicking by Oregon is more like it. Would totally agree with that.
Agreed.
Midweek Coug. Hey, Coug, how are you, bud? One of the biggest spreads. Well, and it's huge.
But shouldn't it be? Shouldn't it be?
Yeah. Yeah. You really think Dan Lanning's going to take his foot off their neck? I don't know. We are not. We have a lot of you guys. Relax. I have lost control of the comment section. It's locked up. The Flipper Trophy in Eugene. Jake, you going to the game tomorrow?
Nope. Not going to the game tomorrow. Nope.
Why would you?
Yeah.
Did Jake go to the hummus bar today? I think he did.
Yeah, dude. I went to the hummus bar and just felt like getting out of the box and, just being a little different. And, that's
drove to the woods and made out with a redwood. That's amazing.
Just full redwood activity,
Yeah, I was measuring myself.
Yeah.
I think they'll lose by 60. Yeah, length and girth. I think there's a chance. Jake moved to Oregon because he likes beaver.
I mean, I didn't move to Corvallis, so.
Effing to oh, did you use emojis? That's the worst part about the filter. I can't see what you did. I have to go and look at another place. I can't see what you did. Certified YouTube cyber terrorist activity. Could be. I mean, no doubt. Nice. We'll see. I'm not, listen, I'm not somebody that is going to, I'm just telling you now, when you use all the emojis and you think, oh, well, I'm just going to be funny here, Monty.
We don't take any shit.
Yeah, well, YouTube does not. God, that is, you guys know who that is?
We don't take any shit.
That's Baker Mayfield. Dude, there were so many good Baker Mayfield
montages. When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
Oh, it was so good. Sean got filtered, apparently. You guys, is this how we're starting the show?
And I'll see you in Valhalla.
Two win Oregon State games have played Rose Bowl winning Duck teams down to the wire. Yeah. It's a great rivalry, the Civil War. I totally agree with it. Look at that. Kyle Shanahan says no Brock Purdy this week.
Turns out you weren't feeling so well after all. Slick.
Funny how you get Max Sam Darnold Jones balling out for Frogs Disco, and all of a sudden Brock Purdy's like, "What? I feel fine, Mom.
Yeah, no
I'm not
problem.
going to school today." Yeah, we'll get to the NFL, or we're not gonna. Let's just stop.
Let's just be really honest. We say that every day, and then we never do.
We're not getting to the NFL. That's not going to happen. There is no more freedom of emojis. No, there's not. It might be amped up due to the spam bots lately, bro. It has been Connor. I'm telling you, you guys are playing with fire, man. You guys are playing with fire. That's all I'm saying. You keep you keep asking for trouble, and trust me, trouble will find you. You put those single emojis in there, YouTube ain't a fan.
And there it goes. There he goes. He got filtered.
This is going to be a long show. Now you guys are trying to get filtered. Okay. You know, I'm here for you.
Around and find out.
Big Papa War Machine. Good afternoon, everyone, but Texas Tech. All right, let's get into it. I am leaning Utah. It's at home. I really like what I've seen from Utah's defensive line. I think, again, and my belief with Texas Tech and Utah is that I think you've played such a low threshold of talent. Texas Tech has played nobody. That's a major concern. You have not had to leave your bed a single night since November. That's a concern. You've had 20 weeks to focus on just getting ready for Utah. I understand that this is a big game. I don't expect Joey and the boys to come to Salt Lake City and not compete. But I just don't know that you understand how hard it is to play nobodies and then roll into Salt Lake City and get punched in the face, because that's what Utah does. Jake, how big of a deal is it in your mind that Texas Tech has not played a high level of competition?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it matters. I don't think that the point of it, of this whole conversation of them not playing anybody yet, is to say that they suck or that they're not a good team. That's not really the point. But I do think that when your first game against an opponent that is as good as you at a minimum, a lot of people will tell you Utah is better, but I'm going to say as good as you. When your first game against an opponent who's as good as you is on the road, at 10 a.m. Mountain, like I do think that that's also a challenge, man. I think that, it's not rocket science to say that, Rice-Eccles is not an easy place to go and get a win. And I think that, the thing that I would be troubled by if I was a Texas Tech fan is yes, the conversation about Barron and big games, sure. But I think that Utah, coming out of the YO game, you left that game playing good football. You felt good about what you did. You got it going in the second half. You took care of business. Like, you looked good. You know, and so you're rolling into the game feeling like, yeah, we beat the piss out of UCLA. We beat up on YO. Now let's roll that right into Texas Tech and play our biggest game of the year so far. Like, I just think that Utah's got some momentum here. And so the thing for me that stands out is that Barron is going to have to be that guy tomorrow. Like Barron Morton's going to have a performance where we're talking about like anywhere between 290 to 325 in the air. You can't be doing that on like 40 attempts. That's overexposure against this defense, in my opinion. You're going to have to do that on anywhere between 25 to 30 attempts, in my opinion. And you can't turn it over in the run game or the pass game. And my biggest concern is that you're going on the road playing your first really good opponent of the season, and you're also playing one of the best defenses in the country. And so the odds of Barron Morton having a 225, 2 picks, and 2 touchdowns game, in my opinion, is a lot higher than 290 to 325 with no picks and 2 to 3 tutties. That's my concern for Texas Tech.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays. I don't think there's any doubt that Utah's going to have a significant advantage being at home. The altitude, I think when you play at 10 a.m., I think that's a very tough ask. On the road, I think that's an advantage. But ultimately, I think this is going to be a second half game. I think it's going to be a 1-score game. And I think Utah's defense just punches you in the face. I think that's the thing that is really hard to account for. And again, I'm going to keep going back to what every Texas Tech fan in the comments says I'm a stupid F for, which is Barron Morton does not have a big performance on the road against a top 25 team. In fact, he shrinks. He has 4 sub-60 rated games. on the road, and I don't like it at all. And I have real concerns that he can come out and change that in this environment with what is on the line, knowing that Utah views this as a must-win game because of how difficult the rest of their schedule is. I want to see Baron Morton break out tomorrow. I think that's the path to Texas Tech winning this game. Baron Morton having a 350-yard, 400 passing yard game. Baron Morton not taking sacks. Baron Morton not throwing interceptions. Baron Morton cannot have a single 3-and-out. They just simply cannot. Baron Morton has to be the reason Texas Tech wins this game. And if he is that, I think Texas Tech can win this game 31-28, 31-27, somewhere like that. But Baron Morton's got to be the reason. And I think if anybody scores 30 in this game, I think they win this game. And I think that's going to be very difficult to do because I actually have a lot of respect. I have a lot of respect for what, and again, this is just my opinion. I have a lot of respect for what Joey McGuire did in the portal, and I think that defensive line can really compete. The problem is Utah's not a traditional turnaround, hand to the back, and that's how we're going to run the football team. That's not the way that Utah runs the ball.
Certainly not this year.
Yeah, especially not this year. And I think it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be very difficult to figure out how to get Utah contained, right? I mean, you don't have the athletes on the edge to keep that discipline is going to be really hard to do, because when you look at what Devin Dampier does as a quarterback, very rarely is it stand in the pocket and deliver the football. He's always moving, and that puts a lot of pressure on your discipline. And I think the biggest thing that should concern Texas Tech fans is the depth of the linebackers, because you have two really good linebackers on this defense, frankly, that are making plays. When you look at the tape on Texas Tech's defense, the linebackers really jump out, because while the defensive line so far in this season are largely the ones making the stew, the linebackers are the ones who are eating. And I think when you look at the numbers on their defense, it is not surprising that you have guys in Jacob Robinson, John Curry, Ben Roberts. I mean, you have a lot of guys on this team. Romello Height, I think, is one of the best performers. You have a lot of guys on this team at the linebacker spot that have gaudy numbers, double-digit tackles, forced fumbles, tackles for loss, quarterback pressures. But if those linebackers have to be worried about their depth, and if they're over-aggressive to the line of scrimmage, that's where Texas Tech is going to get in a lot of trouble on third down. And I think it is, again, I don't mean to be redundant for those of you who have watched the show this week. I'll continue to tell you, when I look at my notes, for Texas Tech to win this game, Utah has to consistently be in third and plus yardage, 3rd and 7, 8, 9, 15 yards. They have to continually be chasing the chains on third down. And I just don't think that's how this game's going to be called. I think Jason Beck is acutely aware of that. I look at the Wyo game where they just did not play well in the first half. The flags in the first half were unbelievable, and yet Utah was never, ever, even going to the half, I think it was 3-0 at the half. Utah was never in danger of winning this or losing this game. Wyoming never moved an inch. Like you threw for 108 yards for the entire game. Your quarterback, Caden Anderson, last week was rated a 22-7. Utah dominated this game from snap to the ending whistle, first snap to the ending whistle. And I'll just continue to go back and tell you, Dallin Bentley is going to be a critical matchup for Texas Tech's defense. I love what he brings to the yard physically. He's a big body guy, 6'4", 260. He has really good hands. He's averaging 10 yards a catch. And it is very clear that he and Dampier have really elite chemistry at this point. I just feel like Utah is more equipped to win in those really important spaces because they've already suffered some on the road. I'm somewhere in the neighborhood of 27-21, 27-24 Utah.
Yeah, I think Utah is going to have a really good showing in this game, and I think that people are severely discounting, Morgan Scalley's ability to put a game plan together and to fool quarterbacks before the snap. And for me, I think that Utah. Listen, Utah's never had an offense this good, right? Like you look at the last 3-4 years, you haven't really had an offense this good. I mean, yeah, Cam and Brant Keithy and all those guys were solid, but I think that Dampier is certainly more talented than Cam Rising was, certainly more dynamic. And I think that, at home, I would fully expect you to control this game by running the ball. And I would fully expect you to have the lead at the end of the first half and at the end of the game. And I would not be surprised if we saw Baron Morton be, 23 of 35, 23 of 40, low 20s for completions out of 35 to 40 attempts. I think that's what you're going to see because they're going to be behind. I think he's probably going to do that on a low 60% completion number, probably anywhere between 58 to 61%. And I think that that's only going to allow Texas Tech to score probably 24 points. That's how I kind of see this going for Tech. And I think Utah is going to have turnovers in this game defensively. So I think they're going to get to 34. So I would say 34-24 Utah. I think they cover. I think it goes just barely under at 58 points. And I think that Utah surprises some people.
Yeah, I think the thing that, and I'm obviously we know, Devin Dampier faces very little man coverage and faces very little 8-man boxes. And it's because of how much pressure he puts on defenses. And I think that why would you give him man coverage, right? You wouldn't give him man coverage. And I think that's a big thing. And I look at some of the sortable numbers, against Wyoming, he was 8.3 yards per attempt. You look at his big time throw rate, they scored 31 points and he only had a 4.3% big time throw rate, right? The guy just makes it look so easy. And I think when you look at his season, he has and this is what's impressive. He has on his first read, he has an 82.9% rating, throwing grade on his first read. Do you know when he throws to a tight end, he's 92.7? Devin Dampier is rated 92.7 when he throws to a tight end. I think the tight end linebacker matchup, Texas Tech has a really talented group of linebackers. I'll keep saying it. Devin Dampier is an unbelievable thrower in the 7 to 10 yard window. And that depth I keep talking about when he's outside the pocket. And I don't think we saw a lot of that against Wyo. I think obviously his rollout rate was very low because why did you need to roll out? You never do. That line dominated, but he has been so good this year throwing to the tight end. That's the matchup that I'll keep my eye on. But I'm going to go 27-21. It's either 27-21, 31-27, one of those two. I'm going to go 31-27. I think the 58 number, I think you got to go under that. And I think the final in this game will be 31-27. And my feeling is that will be on Utah's side. I think it's going to be a very tight game.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I come down on it. But I mean, what is your confidence level in your pick here?
Oh, I'm pretty confident in it. I think that Texas Tech has a really good offense. Certainly their offense can hurt you. But I think that the problem, I think the dynamic that Utah wants to create here is you want to get ahead early as you do in any football game. But I think you want to do that not just by quick scoring, right? Like obviously everyone loves a 70-yard shot down the field, 3 plays into the game like you had against Florida 2 years ago, right? Like everyone wants that play. But in this game, I don't know that that's the way to go. I think in this game, what you want to do is you want to tire out their defense, and you want to do that on the ground. And I think what you're going to see, I have a feeling based on watching Utah a little bit, that Beck and company are going to come out with this plan where obviously they're going to be committed to the run, but then you're going to start to see them start to layer stuff on top of this. So if they come out and they're able, on their first offensive possession, if they're able to run it for 4 or 5 yards a carry for their first like 8 to 9 runs, right? Like if they're really moving it on the ground, then I think what you're going to start to see is you're going to start to see them obviously mix in some play action, but I think they're going to use Dampier a lot in this game on the ground. I think you will see some option. I do think you're going to see a good bit of rolling him out intentionally so that you can start to throw it to the tight ends because, yes, the tight end completion percentage is really high.
Yeah.
And the thing that they're going to try to do to the Texas Tech defense is they're going to make them make a choice, which is, okay, if you want to play man, then you're certainly going to have to spy. But I don't think they're going to play a lot of man, as we just talked about. I think you're going to see just a crap ton of probably a shell over the top. Just avoid giving up the deep ball and then try to keep everything in front of you because they know that Dampier can hurt them. So they're going to play zone. They're going to try to keep Dampier in front of them. And it's just going to be on Dampier to make the correct decision in the moment. But that decision obviously gets way easier if you're running the football effectively.
Well, and I think there's a lot of unknowns about Texas Tech coming into this week because they have just not played anybody. And watching a lot of the previews, I was doing some radio in Lubbock this week and talking they're acutely aware that they have not been challenged. They have not been tested. I think the defense, and Joel Clapp pointed this out this week. This is not my, unbelievable number. Like their defensive numbers are really gaudy. And the issue is they're worthless. That's the problem. When you look at like Kent State is probably the best team they faced. And you look at the numbers on Kent State's not a good football team at a P4 level, right? They're just not equipped. They're not equipped to compete. They only threw the ball 25 times in the entire game. And you start looking at some of the numbers out of that Kent State game. The thing that really stands out to you is Texas Tech didn't try much in the second half. That game was over at halftime, and you could see Joey McGuire was really trying to work rotations, keep guys fresher, keep guys healthier. So the numbers in that game, 601 yards of offense for Kent State or for Texas Tech against Kent State, meaningless. You look at the fact that, you just don't know what you take out of that game. And then when you start looking at the other games, you say to yourself, well, Oregon State is on the verge of firing their coach. The just stupidity of the actions of Oregon State in that game, and Oregon State's defense is horrendous. I think we all are very aware of that. And you start to understand that they have given up even to a very mediocre Fresno State team. They gave up 36 points and lost, and simply was just a no effort performance out of Oregon State. That's the thing that you're like, what in the flip happened here, right? And then you understand that, oh, that's right. Fresno State got thumped by Kansas 31-7. So there's just no takeaway. That's the biggest problem. And when you're trying to prognosticate this game and understand what's the ebb and flow going to be like, we've seen nothing out of Utah's playbook. We've seen nothing out of Texas Tech on defense. They simply have not been challenged. I think I was reading a PFF stat that they have seen one snap of high leverage offense against their defense. That's how bad the competition that Texas Tech has faced. They've had one snap of leverage against their defense, and it was one of the touchdowns they gave up. So you just don't know what to expect out of that defense. And again, I just will keep going back and saying they've had 20 weeks to prepare for Utah post knowing who the quarterback was. You've had 20 weeks to prepare. You haven't left home since November. There's a lot of unknowns. This is a huge test of morale and character for Joey McGuire's football team. And I do not in any respect believe that they're going to get blown out. I think it's going to be, again, a one-possession game. And I think it's going to be who turns the ball over. Because you look at the volume of information that's available to us on these two football teams. We just know more about Utah's defense because they face significantly better athletes. And you look at the way that Utah's defense graded out against UCLA was absolutely dominant. That's the best group of athletes they faced. You look at the fact that YO never got off the frickin' bus at home. They were truly dominant. You just know more about Utah's defense, so you feel more comfortable. You feel more comfortable in what we've seen out of Utah's defense for the last decade. You have no idea what Texas Tech's defense is. I know what Barron is. I think I have a pretty good idea what his receiver groups look like, what their route trees and combinations look like. There's not a third. I'd be really surprised if there was a 30-point performance in Texas Tech. In that offense, the way man-to-man, grouping to grouping, they match up against Utah's defense. I think it's going to be very difficult for like even just let's just talk about running, right?
Yeah.
It's very difficult if you are Texas Tech to have any idea. You haven't seen a defensive line yet.
I think that, yeah, Utah's defense is the best defense you've seen. They're going to be really stout, but I really do think that this game is going to be decided, by Utah's defense. If Utah's defense has a great day, this game won't be all that close. This will be around 20 points for Tech. Well, you disagree with that? You have a quarterback that is more than happy to turn it over. You've got a quarterback that doesn't perform well in big games, and you're playing against one of the best defenses in the country.
Again, Baron Morton has struggled on the road against ranked opponents as an individual. That doesn't necessarily mean they go on the road and lose to ranked opponents. What it means is Baron Morton has not had his worst performances, his lowest grades are on the road against ranked opponents. And when I say low grades, a 54 rating at PFF, a 42 rating at PFF, all of his 80 plus, because he's got, I think, 5 80 plus ratings at PFF. All of them are at home, every single one of them. And that's what you have to find out. Like, who is Baron Morton? Is he a more mature quarterback? Well, we don't know. We don't know. Because you look at his passing numbers, what do they mean? What does it mean that Texas Tech has put up? Hasn't Texas Tech, I think, Texas Tech has the number one passing offense in the Big 12 at 1,163 yards and 14 touchdowns. What does that mean? Very, very little. Because I'll be honest with you, in watching his tape this year to last year, like I was watching the comparisons, he looks like exactly the same quarterback. And we won't know until he faces live fire against high-level opponents. That's what the Big 12 is going to be about. So we're going to find out who Barron is tomorrow. But to clarify, I don't think there is any question this is going to be a tight game. This is going to be a tight game. Utah has to play from the front. If they are trailing, you're going to be in a much less advantageous space. And I'm being serious when I say I think you got to win the coin flip here, because the middle eight of this football game is probably going to decide who wins it. Utah needs it last and needs to get it first. They need to defer that first kickoff. They need to have kickoff in the second half, and they need to close the first half with the football. That's incredibly important. And I think if you're able to do that, you're going to win the game, because Utah's going to eat clock. They're going to eat clock. There's no doubt about it. So I like it 31-27 Utah.
I guess we'll see what happens. I think we see this game a little differently. I think that Baron Morton is a really good quarterback, but I think that really good quarterbacks look pretty mediocre against this defense. So we'll find out.
Yeah. And listen, again, I say reading and I'll read you right from PFF's capsule on Texas Tech this season. Behren Morton is in a critical window in his NFL profile, which is what I said yesterday. It does not help that Texas Tech has played 3 patsies, and we don't know the details of their offense, but we do know the details of their talent level, depth, and the length that they have gone to hide who they really are as a football team heading to Salt Lake City to take on the Utah Utes. The problem is the altitude is going to be harsh. And you and I both know there will be fireworks in this game. The only question is, will they be from Utah on the ground or Texas Tech through the air? And I think that is that is a great point. That is a great point. You look at Sports Illustrated's preview of this game. Texas Tech's offense is the number 1 scoring offense in the country, but do we have any idea how and why that equates to Big 12 play when Texas Tech has played cupcakes to start the season? And my answer is no, it does not equate. We have no idea who they are. We have no idea how good the defense is. Because I also go back before we move on, because I know we've talked a ton of this game this week, but if you go back to what this defense was last year, because it looks schematically, let's be honest, it's not that different schematically. The difference is you're playing the same scheme and dudes are in better position to make plays against some pretty mediocre talent. But let's not forget who Texas Tech was last year, the 15th defense in the conference out of 16 teams. And the thing that really worries you is they gave up 453 yards or points for the season, and they averaged 35 points against a game. And if I'd have said to you, you're scoring 37.5 points a game last year, the number 1 offense in the conference, and you didn't have a successful season, it was all about this defense. And I'm going to ask the same question I've asked all week. Give me an example of a defense who went portal crazy and completely flipped the script the next year. It almost never happens because it's very difficult, to learn a new defensive scheme, and it is very difficult to build chemistry, and chemistry is what makes defenses elite. And it's because you were there as a freshman, you started playing more reps as a sophomore, and your junior and senior years, you were a starter who dominated. They will never have that luxury, not for at least 3 seasons, because of how much change we saw in this defense. That's why I cannot believe that they're going to have edge discipline to contain Utah's running attack. Their misdirection, their guards pulling and just blowing dudes up on the edge. That's what Utah's been. We've seen it a lot. 31-27 Utah.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I think that everyone's worried about Tech's offense, and I just think that I'm more than happy to be the guy before this game that's saying, if I said, hey, what do you think's a more reliable pick, Kyle Whittingham and his defense or Behren Morton in the offense? I think we all know the answer to the question. So.
I would agree. And the thing that I'll keep saying about Utah's offense is they may not have been able to compete against very good defenses to this point. And people are going to point out the win and loss records. Get into the measurables. The 2 best defensive players statistically in the Big Ten are Isaiah Chisholm and John Vaughns. Anybody know what helmet they wear every week? That'd be UCLA. And when we start looking at UCLA as a team defense, nobody's going to make the argument that UCLA is a horrendous defense. Or should we say that they're the number 1 rated defense in the Big Ten right now? And I know it's early, and everybody's going to say, well, Monty, it's early. Is UCLA the best defense in the Big Ten? No, it's not close. Right now, when we have the argument of Utah's played nobody, I'm going to tell you right now, UCLA has the number one defense in the conference right now. And that's the biggest thing that you have to remember is if we're just going to go up against how the opponents have ranked, UCLA's defense is never going to be the problem. The problem is, well, their coach sucks and they're not well coached at all. And let's see what they turn into now. But the amazing part of it is that UCLA's defense has actually held up really, really well. And they're not a team that's going to be in the backfield. They're not a team that's going to rack up sacks, but they make you stay honest. And I think you'll see that when we start looking at the numbers, UCLA's already got 228 tackles on the season. Now, why is that meaningful? Because their offense blows. Their offense sucks. Their offense is not good at all, but that defense can play. And Utah had a pretty good night. And I think when you start looking at Wyoming's defense is actually pretty good as well. So I don't know. I guess we can go round and round, but I feel 31-27. Again, final score prediction for you, Jake?
34-24 Utah.
Okay. Eddie Stoss, over under on Dampier interceptions. I would think half.
Yeah.
I highly doubt it because, and again, Eddie, I've never heard of you, and my guess is you're a Tech fan. I have no idea. The idea that all of a sudden Devin Dampier is going to turn into a guy who throws tons of interceptions, the bad news for you is he does not. And if you go I was looking at his capsules last night at PFF. You go look at his ratings and grades per throw. They're actually very high over his entire career. And the thing that you'll figure out pretty quick is he just doesn't take risks with the football. He's got 7 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. And I think he's got 11 high leverage throws. So it's not like the ball's not been put into tight windows. But again, I think the reason he's not throwing interceptions, he's very highly rated to his tight ends. And he does not have great skill players on the outside. So he's not risking the football down the field. Most bad throwers, when you're not a gifted thrower of the football, and I'm not saying this about Dampier, but when you're not a gifted thrower of the football, a lot of your interceptions are tip balls or balls over the middle that are just errant. The elite throwers, Baron Morton included in this, the elite throwers are guys who are throwing fly balls. Carson Beck's an example of this last week. Throwing fly balls, hoping your guy makes a play. They get tipped. It's a battle, interception. You can almost live with those. What you can't live with is the quick throw left that gets picked off, the J.J. McCarthy interception, or the ones where you're just like, Arch, what are you looking at? Those are the ones that you just don't see Devin Dampier make that mistake. So when you start talking about, he's going to throw interceptions, I would encourage you to go in and look at the numbers because he doesn't make that mistake. It doesn't make that mistake. That's just me. He has not so far, what? I agree. He hasn't thrown a lot of interceptions. Big Daddy Magic. Hey, play on picking gap year to have the best game of the season.
I'm guessing that's Napier that auto-corrected the gap.
Napier. Dampier? Okay. 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 Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Just a guess.
I don't know either. If it comes to a field goal, Utah will lose a game. I would be very concerned about the special teams at Utah. Very, very concerned. UCLA looked like a quality win early in the season. Now, not so much. Totally agree. Do not care what the D is ranked, but it matters. It matters because a lot of people, again, how many interceptions will Dampier throw? He's played 2 pretty solid defenses. Where you would criticize him was they were effective, but not spectacular at Wyoming. And again, I would just remind you, he had over 300 yards of offense in that game. Now, 86 of it was on the ground, but he was 27 of 41, 230, 2 touchdowns. Not spectacular. I think his average last week was 5.5 yards. Not spectacular, but you're also not going to run for 7 yards a carry like they did against Wyo against Texas. Well, I wouldn't think so. Anyway, you're not going to run for. My guess is you'll run for 5.5, 6 yards a carry. You're not going to run for 7, 8, 9 yards a carry against Texas Tech. I don't think. And I could be wrong, but I just don't see that happening. So, Chad Perling, the question for Tech is not how many cupcakes have they played, but how many have they eaten? Well, there could be that too. But yeah. Joey Harper, UCLA's defense ranked 1 because they are on the field the majority of the game. Absolutely right, but they're still.
Is it possible that they could ride the D?
Right. Still ranked 1. Utah's defense is good, but Tech's offense will be a bit better tomorrow. Okay. Why? Based on what? Based on what? And I keep asking you this because I just go back and I stay on my Baron Morton take. I need to see Baron Morton have a massive game on the road against a ranked opponent. I need to see it. And I need to see him. The problem is he's doing it at altitude, and what's his offensive line going to look like when they haven't had to leave home yet? That's a big deal. I think one of the other things is travel brings teams together. Travel builds chemistry. Texas Tech is a football team that needs to build chemistry. So we'll see. I've been asked to rank a lot of D's. James?
Suck at a ding dong.
James, take it easy. Take it easy. Sean Ramsey. Arch gets hyped because of his last name. Very well could be. He's been terrible this year. He is the only factor. They have elite talent at every position group except Arch Manning. And now he's got to prove he's an elite talent. Listen, I think the hype was justified. He was never going to live up to it. But not only has he not lived up to it, he has been he's the reason they lost to Ohio State. And he is the reason they have sputtered because, again, the film does not lie. And Sark backed me up on this on Tuesday or whatever it was. Arch Manning's not running the offense as designed. He's getting play calls. First read's not there, and he's trying to be spectacular. So that play where he ran 86 yards to throw an interception over the middle of the field. Mind-numbing.
Ohio State?
Because he's better than that. And then he'll come back and he'll have the highest rated throw of the year so far. That's still, that touchdown he threw at Ohio State in the fourth quarter is still the single highest rated throw by a quarterback this season. So it's in there, but what does it matter? Because if you got a 10-cent brain and a $1,000 arm, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. So Sark concurred with Monty that Arch is not hurt. Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he did. Joey Harper, we will find out about Arch when Texas plays Oklahoma. Yes, we will. And that game's in the Cotton Bowl. So, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. Kale Gundy for $2. Hey, coach. Hey, guys, watching while eating 4-year-old Spam.
Bro,
you're broke because you can't get a job.
Fat.
4-year-old Spam.
Nah, I'm good.
Again, I continue to ask, what is the worst food you routinely eat? And 4-year-old Spam would rank pretty high on that list. It is.
That's rough.
Yeah. And you know what? I haven't eaten out this week at all. Bro, and this is not the time to get into this because we need to keep moving, but I just cannot make myself eat sometimes. It was 11 o'clock, and again, I had not eaten today.
It is what it is.
And I'm not, the problem is this week I've totally plateaued in weight loss, wild. Let's move on. BYU, East Carolina. Jake, just initial thoughts on a 6.5 point line for BYU, favored by 6.5 on the road.
East Carolina is going to cover that, in my opinion. I think that BYU is a better team without a doubt, but I think
better than East Carolina.
Yeah, without a doubt. But I think the thing that really scares me in this game is that Bear Bachmeier, we know who he is now, right? And we know what he's got to work on, and we know what he's got to improve on. And theoretically, we would all say, okay, well, hey, it's East Carolina. This should be a game where he's able to work on his stuff and get some really good reps in and really feel good about what he does in this game. But I'm not so sure, bro. I'm not so sure. We've seen BYU play East Carolina in the past. Those games have never gone how they should have gone. They've always been adventures. They've always been up and down. And that's why I say I'm not super confident that BYU covers this number. I could easily see this being a field goal game. Could easily see this being, 3 to 4 touchdowns for Bear, but also having 2 interceptions. Also like just you're performing, but you're also keeping East Carolina in the game, and your defense is going to bail you out a couple times, but inevitably that the turnovers always come back to get you on some level. So that's why, yes, I think BYU wins the game, but I'm not comfortable that they're able to cover the 6.5.
Yeah, and the thing that I'm worried about for BYU is, what is this the inevitable game every year that BYU plays where you're just shocked at how bad their amazing defense is. And you start looking at some of the numbers on Caden Hauser, the quarterback at East Carolina. This kid is not a pushover. And I know that BYU fans probably don't care. I think the biggest question for me will be, can BYU defense turn over Caden Hauser and how many times? Because he's not that accurate of a passer, but if you let him get off his spot, you're going to get beat. And I think BYU's defense will ultimately carry the day here. I think BYU is going to win this game. But, I just look at some of the measurables in this game. I think that East Carolina has been fantastic on third down. I think Caden Hauser has been a really good quarterback this year. And they've only turned the ball over once. And I think that's the thing where when I look at East Carolina and you say to yourself, okay, well, they lost in a really close game to North Carolina State. And I look at Hauser in that game, and he's 30 of 44 for 366 and a touchdown against clearly the best competition they've faced. And the biggest issue was not that they threw for 383 yards. They only ran for 30 yards. And as a team, obviously sacks, they lost 23 yards. And I just look at the way that North Carolina State was able to get in the backfield with 9 TFLs in that game. I think BYU's defense is much better than North Carolina State's defense. And that's the thing that worries me. Now, again, if we're being objective here, I would also remind you that, and I know you're all probably going to hate this, but East Carolina's won their last 2 games 94-3 against Campbell and Coastal Carolina.
Yeah.
And this game is at home. This game is at night. It is supposed to be 77 degrees and exceptionally humid tomorrow night in Greenville. This is a real danger game for BYU. And again, I'm going to continue to run this narrative out. And I'm going to continue to say, run the damn football. Run the football, BYU. That's what's going to win you this game. And what drives me crazy is that BYU has a tendency to fall in love with that cool play call.
Yes.
That cannot happen here.
You mean the jet sweep where they fumble and they turn it over on like their 20? That play?
It's exactly that play. And I would also remind you, this will be game number 4 for East Carolina. This will be game number 3 for BYU. East Carolina's run a lot more. East Carolina's seen a lot more. They've practiced a lot more. They've executed a lot more. It's very difficult to get ready for games when you've only played 2 weeks in a bye. That's not ideal for BYU going into a hot, sweaty environment that I think could very well give them problems. But East Carolina just has way too many penalties. And ultimately, that will be what decides this game here. Because you look at the two things that scare me most if I'm an East Carolina fan. We get way too many flags, and there are just stretches defensively where guys go to bed. Or at least that's what happened in week 1 against North Carolina State. And I think their line play can match up with BYU's line play. I want to see, can you get in the backfield and make Bear Bachmeier struggle? And I think it's going to be very interesting to see that Bear Bachmeier can throw the football because he has not been tested yet. Stanford was terrible, just terrible. But I also think that BYU just hasn't been tested. The defense dominated Stanford. I mean, just dominated Stanford. Because Jay Hill and that BYU defense, I mean, next to Utah, I think that's the best defense in the conference. And tomorrow's a big test for both of these units.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I think the play calling on defense is superior for BYU than it is on offense, without question. I just don't turn it over. That would be my thing for Aaron Roderick. Don't turn it over and don't try to get cute. You know, like run the football, be committed to the run. You know, put Bear Bachmeier in a position to where, you know, he's playing 5 yards at a time, right? Like, hey, we're not going to ask Bear to bomb it down the field 40 yards, right? Like, get him in a rhythm early, get him in a place where he's feeling confident in what he's doing and where his guys are confident with what he's doing. Because I also think that plays into it for BYU. Guys, when skill position guys are not comfortable with their quarterback, that plays into it, man. And it's everything from where the ball is, you know, how hard you throw it, all that stuff. So I would love to see Aaron Roderick stay committed to, hey, like, we're going to run the football. We're going to be committed to that. We're going to possess the football. And then from there, once, you know, the first time we're in 3rd and 2, you know, maybe you try to give him a 7-8 yard in route or something. Like, just be smart about what you're asking the kid to do, because the last thing you want to happen is to get down by 10 or 14 points, you know, in the second quarter. And now you're chasing these guys the whole game, and they're going to load up in the box and they're going to make him sweat, and you're not going to have a lot of places to go. That's the hard part when you have a young quarterback.
Well, and I think the other thing that stands out so mightily in this game is when I ran score scenarios, 16-10 BYU makes a lot of sense. But so does 38-21 BYU. Because I think BYU's defense is going to score a touchdown in this game. I can't see East Carolina winning this game. I just don't think they have the dogs offensively to beat BYU's defense.
Mm-hmm.
I think Isaiah Glasker and that defensive line and those linebackers, I think BYU's defense, you guys, is incredible. And I look at the projections for this game, and I think Logan Latui is going to feast in this game. I think Jack Kelly, Isaiah Glasker, I think you just have so much depth on this defense, and you start looking at the way that Glasker plays football. It's just impossible to understand how on earth is East Carolina going to score enough points to win this game against this group of guys. And the answer is I have no idea. And if Logan Latui continues to emerge, because I actually think he's emerging as a player for BYU, if that happens and you have a real disruptive defensive end, and if you're able to continue to get guys like Tommy Prasis making plays that are created by guys like Isaiah Glasker, absolutely terrifying people. Keanu Tanavasa is another guy that I just think is such a disruptor. I think we saw it at Utah. I think he's been exactly as advertised at BYU through the first 2 games. I just don't see that East Carolina has the horses to win this race against BYU's defense. And I think that's why I'm probably going to go with BYU scoring 38 points, because I think their defense is going to put points on the board. And I also think that, and I get it. I get it. I don't care about Portland State. I more look at some of the numbers that are coming out of the Bear Bachmeier's performance against Stanford. LJ Martin really dominated that football game, and nobody's talking about it. LJ Martin dominated that football game. They have blocking schematics to support his running style now, which I don't think I've ever been able to say that about BYU and LJ's time there. One, he's always been so damn hurt. But two, the play calling has not been good. In the Stanford game, they relied on him. And I think he is the parachute when Bear doesn't play well. And I think you're going to see a lot of that. And you start looking at the fact that he put up 6.1 yards against a P4 opponent. Stanford, say what you want, they're not good. I totally agree with that. He looks fantastic. Now, it worries you he hasn't got a rushing touchdown yet. It worries you he hasn't gotten in the end zone yet. It worries you LJ is just simply not part of the passing attack. I don't love that. But he's running the football at a very high level. I think this is probably 38-20, 38-21 BYU.
Yeah, see, I just have trouble getting to the high 30s. I only say that I don't even disagree that your defense is probably going to score in this game. That's a great point. Totally agree. But I have trouble with the 38 points only because I'm just not confident in where the offense is overall. Like if this was Retzloff and company, I'd be probably saying 45, 50 points on this team. Honestly,
I would agree with that.
With how good he's been,
I would agree with that.
I would be like, yeah, dude, you're gonna roll these guys. But the problem is I'm not confident that this offense can put up 30 points. So let's just give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And let's say the defense.
You're not confident that Bear Bachmeier can put up 30 points.
I just don't think he's there yet. Yeah, I mean, obviously they've got the guns outside to do it. You've got guys running routes, but I just don't know that Bear is there yet. Now, again, maybe the saving grace is that it's East Carolina, and this is not a Big 12 opponent. This is theoretically, this is not a game of leverage for you, right? Like, this is a game where if Bear Bachmeier is truly going to be a good quarterback and he's going to blossom, maybe this is his coming out party, and maybe we see a 40-point performance. Maybe. And maybe I know a lot of people have criticized A-Rod over the play calling. A lot of people feel like he's kept a really tight leash on Bear Bachmeier, that he hasn't allowed him to throw it down the field. And
justifiably so, though.
Justifiably so. Yeah.
Why would you open it up and have him be the guy? He has never thrown a football at this level.
Yeah. Yeah. And at some point, you're going to have to give him the opportunity to do that. But I just don't think you're going to do that on the road in a game that you should win. So, again, let me say this. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt, and let's say that the defense gives you 14 points in this game. Probably not going to happen. You're probably going to get 7, but let's say you get 14. Okay. You only got to put up, 20 points? 21 points? Right? I mean, three possessions in this game, score a touchdown. Like, I think they can do that. So I would be more in the camp of a tighter game, 31-27, 31-24. Give the defense credit, that kind of ball game.
If that happens, this is going to be a very difficult season for.
I hope I'm wrong.
This will be a very difficult season. I mean, it just is. It's going to be really tough if you're BYU and I don't know, man. I've watched a lot of BYU's defense over and over and over, and I want to marry Isaiah Glasgow and I want to make linebacker babies with him because that cat is, dude. And I know I generally get over the top. Yeah, he's not Preston Stone. He is an unbelievable football player that nobody has any idea about. And I think that's a thing. I think the fact that BYU doesn't miss field goals. I think BYU is.
Yeah, Will is a very good kicker.
Their special teams are rock solid. I think BYU is 4th in net punting. They control the field. It's as simple as that. Who are you, Notre Dame, dropping the extra point snap that lost you the game? That doesn't happen in Provo, and it doesn't happen in Greenville. And I'm telling you, I think BYU. I'm not going to lie. I did not feel this way on Monday. When I've had the time now to really get into how good LJ Martin is. That's what really swayed me here, you guys. I think LJ Martin, the running back for BYU, has been way better than anybody's given him credit for. And I think Isaiah Glasker is an absolute demolition, man.
Yeah.
And the way that defense, the way that front seven, I think it might be next to Utah. And tomorrow we're going to find out about the Utes, but they're 1 in 1A. I think the front sevens in the state of Utah, you want nothing to do with that.
Yeah, it's filthy.
Filthy. And a lot of it's got Kyle Whittingham's fingerprints on it. Obviously with Tanavasa and with Jay Hill, with Kalani Sitake.
And don't forget, they lost the Fano brothers. Just want to point that out.
Yeah, and the Fano brothers are at Utah. And BYU is still this good. And Rogan Fano's kicking ass, right? I mean, I think this is good. If you're a BYU fan, don't miss the first half of this game. Don't be like, oh, yeah, dude, I got the pork butt on the smoker. No. Put the pork butt on the smoker tonight. Make sure it's done by 10 a.m.
Yeah, get your ass on the couch.
Yeah, make sure that you're ready to watch this football game tomorrow night, because I think it is going to be a very interesting game. I hope it is not 16-10, because if it's 16-10, that's called a coin flip. Mm-hmm. And I give it to BYU at 16-10 because they kick the football exceptionally well so far this year. But I am telling you, LJ Martin, please, Joseph Smith, if you can hear me, keep him healthy.
Joey,
if LJ Martin's healthy this year, I think he could be 1,000, 1,200 yard back. I think it's a little disturbing he doesn't have a touchdown yet, which means he's probably not getting 20 on the year. He could be 1,200 yards and 13, 14 touchdowns.
Can you measure it?
And at some point, I really hope they start throwing him the football. And I hope it's not because the guy can't catch, which is why they're not. But I hope they're throwing him the football. My guess is they're limiting his exposure to injury. And Bear Bachmeier throwing him hospital balls probably is not ideal for this offense.
And I'll see you in Valhalla.
Yeah, because if my guy LJ's in Valhalla in week 6, the season's over.
I need to catch the damn ball.
Because I'm telling you now, Bear Bachmeier is an awkward runner at best. Homeboy's got to learn baseball slide. But 16-10 terrifies me if I'm a BYU fan.
Bro, if it's 16-10, BYU's got big issues, dude.
Well, I'm just telling you now, BYU has big issues with Bear Bachmeier. It's cool against Portland State, 6 touchdowns. Okay, cool. My mom can throw for 3 touchdowns against Portland State. The talent disparity. He looked okay against, looking at the PFF analytics on Bear Bachmeier against Stanford. None of his routes are graded higher than a 71, which is just middle of the table. And I'd remind you, he only completed 63% of his passes. And his best throw was rated a 68. So, and I would remind you, he only completed 17 passes against Stanford. And he had no touchdowns and no interceptions, and he only ran for 1 touchdown. So I understand everybody's excited. Bear Bachmeier and his brother's got a cool last name. That's cool. Can his brother play quarterback? Because Bear's not ready to yet.
Yeah.
Not to be the deflating party in the room. But Gooby24. I am not a BYU fan, so I don't watch. How would you compare him to Devin Lloyd?
He's a tougher hitter. Glasker.
Glasker. Dude, Glasker's a dog.
Glasker's a punisher, dude.
I would encourage you, Gooby, to take a minute and watch BYU's defense. It looks a hell of a lot like Utah's defense.
Dude, Glasker's like your boy at Notre Dame, Bowen.
Yes.
Glasker likes to hit dudes. Glasker is looking to set you down.
Glasker's the guy that Jerky Boy in Kansas City.
Jerky Boy.
Glasker's the guy who will punish Patrick Mahomes for his bullshit on the sideline. Yeah. Glasker's the guy that fully sprints every millimeter When the radar in his brain has you perfectly aligned, that guy doesn't slow down at the sideline.
I'll drop that motherfucker.
You're not faking stepping out of bounds on him. He is a heat-seeking missile.
We don't take any shit.
And that's exactly right. And I am telling you, and I know that, again, I know you guys think that I don't know what I'm talking about, and Monty's drinking the blue Kool-Aid. Okay. I'm fine with that. I'll drink the Glasgow Kool-Aid because homeboy's coming for your neck. And if he's not there, there's a little cat named Jack Kelly who will be happy to clean up the mess.
Dude.
Because he is also incredible. And I'll just continue.
Dude, BYU always has linebackers, bro. Dude.
And this crop of linebackers, I'm just going to continue to tell you, this crop of linebackers are absolute murderers. And I just...
Don't be surprised with 2 fumbles in this game created by the BYU's defense. That would not be surprising.
I'm if you are a Utah fan, go ahead and watch your defense on the field for BYU because they're remarkably similar. They're similar in philosophy, they're similar in attitude because both those defenses have terrible attitudes for your personal safety. And it's what I love about watching Kalani and Witt defenses. They just don't care. And Jay Hill took Kalani and Witt's defense to another level for BYU. And the saying they're coming for your neck is exactly right. So, team on upset alert should be Ole Miss because Tulane's going to be a handful. Jake Retzloff is having...
It's a big opportunity for Buddy.
He's having an unbelievable year. LJ's going for 1,500 this year in the running game. I don't think so.
I don't think he can withstand the punishment of 1,500 yards, dude. He's just not that guy.
That's a big question. And from what I understand, he really worked on his physical construction, his lower half, his trunk, his lower half. I wouldn't expect him to be injured and out, but you run the way he runs. His pad level's gotten a lot better, so he's not taking the broadsided blow anymore. But 1,500 yards, you got to have it every single game, and he just hasn't right now. So, I think when we get into these conversations about, who's a lead, and I still maintain that I think Rayleigh Brown's probably the best running back in the Big 12 so far this year. LJ's not far behind him. And I think that we've got a long way to go. There's no doubt we have a long way to go. But when you start looking at the way that this year is playing out, Adam Hill at Texas Tech. That's the problem. Can Adam Hill? You guys understand Texas Tech's running back is a guy named Adam Hill. He's averaging 8.6 yards a carry and 69 yards a game, right? And he's really a tough guy to bring down. But I look at a guy like L.J. Martin. L.J. Martin's averaging 9.3 yards a carry. That means nothing because they've played 2 games, and one of them was Portland State.
Should still be 5, though. Should still be 5 against East Carolina.
I would think so. And I look at this is what's so troubling about Bear Bachmeier and Jake Retzloff. If Jake Retzloff was a quarterback at BYU, they would win the conference championship.
It is the ultimate definition of pain for BYU.
It sucks. Congratulations, Utah. You did your job, I guess. Right? I just
and at some point these 2 teams in the state of Utah need to get better at keeping their quarterbacks both healthy and on the roster.
Yeah. L.J. Martin is the best running back in the Big 12.
Why are you putting your curse on Buddy, dude? Stop commenting on him, dude.
Yeah, I think it's Rayleigh, but if LJ's your starting running back, you're in good shape. We'll be watching WWE WrestlePalooza on the ESPN app. Okay.
Man, okay. Wow, dude.
And his name is John C.
I can't. It's just not.
I'm fine.
It's not my thing. Portland Trailblazers could beat Portland State. Think that's true with Rasheed Wallace at quarterback.
Do you guys see? So Dame tears his Achilles. This past season, already back 4 months after tearing the Achilles and after procedure, already back shooting shots, dude.
Because it's Dame time.
Yeah, bro.
It's Dame time.
Yeah.
Stanford threw a lot of looks at Bear. Well,
do you blame them?
No. This is more like poor ECU's quarterbacks. Don't even disagree with that. But he's really good. Caden Hauser's really good. TDS defense is very good. Too bad Retzloff is shitting on Ole Miss this weekend instead of ECU. Okay. Mike Smith. We got a long way to go and a short time to get there. Yeah, Smokey and the Bandit style. Brett Allen, all you can hope for is that Bear is developed enough by game 6 to be an average in the back half of the season. I think that's exactly right. I think he is going to be an incredible thrower of the football because he's wildly talented. He just has no business starting today. This is supposed to be Jake Retzloff's NFL year, and so now you're making chicken salad, right? I mean, that you're doing the best you can do, and he hasn't. Let's make something very clear about Bear. He has not been bad quarterbacking for BYU. He just has not had to. He hasn't seen an elite defense yet, and I think he's going to get some looks from East Carolina that I'm worried. I'm really worried if he throws an interception. How. Because guys like Bear at this stage of his development, when he throws an interception, it's a bad interception. It's not down the field. It's to the flat where it's one of those things where, oh my God, there's a large defensive tackle coming. Let me just turn and throw this ball left and watch that guy run it back for a pick 6. That's what you worry about.
Yeah, the Tua-ism.
How do you throw those interceptions late in the game? Yeah, Buffalo beat. And give Buffalo credit. Yeah. Chad Perling. Watch out, old bandit run. Exactly. Chad Perling. I was surprised LJ didn't go to Boise State. Well, why didn't he go to Boise State? They had a pretty good running back.
Yeah, some guy with a fat ass who now is in the NFL,
Is Ashton Jeanty a problem with the Raiders?
Problem in a negative way?
You were pretty jacked over his comments this week about, that I'm really curious. How good of a running back is Ashton Jeanty?
Ready to take on a heavy load and going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you draft a guy like me to not give me, carries and touches, and I'm ready for the responsibility, and like I said, it's going to start with me and, in the run game, and I got to continue to get better.
I don't think he's a problem. A lot of people were taken aback by him saying that, Jake included, but what did you feel? What did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't upset with him. I just felt like, he has looked good. I mean, give the guy credit. He's been breaking tackles. He has been as advertised, but I would agree with Ashton that they have not been giving him the amount of carries that I think, he was obviously used to at Boise State. So for him, it feels like the carries are light, but by NFL standards, they're not actually that light. And I think that, the problem is that the Raiders are this team that has Geno and Geno has played decent, not amazing, but decent in my estimation. But they just are not committed enough to running it because I think Geno is seen as this veteran guy who can lead them, and Jinty's the young guy. But the reality is Jinty's got fresh legs. He's looking for the contact. I firmly believe they should be treating Ashton Jeanty the same way that the Giants are treating Scat. Give the guy the football, man. Let him show you.
Yeah. I think they know they're not a good football team. I mean, at least not yet.
And I also think Pete Carroll likes to get cute in the passing game sometimes. Peter. And I think that can come back to get them.
They got dominated by the Chargers. I mean, Khalil Mack's elbow aside. They got their ass kicked.
I mean, I don't know that. I'm not sure that they know who McConkey is. Like, I'm not sure that
100%.
Like, I don't know. Like, I understand Buddy's first name is Ladd, but you might want to respect the guy's ability to run routes and get open, dude. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, I agree. Kale Gundy, serious question: is Boise's blue turf hurt their chance of going to a power conference? I absolutely hate watching Boise games. The TV hurts my ass. I think
what are you talking about, man?
I think the city of Boise does not help them because it is a very small. And everybody's like, "Well, Monty, we watch TV up here too, potato head." Okay, I don't disagree with that. Right? I don't. I eat a lot of potatoes myself. I love them.
We don't take any shit.
Yeah, we don't. The problem is perception over reality. Is Boise State one of the best programs in the country? No. Should they be in a P4? Could they compete in a P4? Absolutely. Have they gotten an invite? No. No, they didn't. And it's because the perception versus reality in Boise. The Buffalo Hunter. Ginty's on my fantasy team. I need him to step it up.
But it's not him, dude.
Yeah,
it's the play calling, bro. They need to feed him more.
I would agree with that. The Texans have an inexperienced coached offensive plays, and the protection is bad. That's a flawed football team. And if we argued over.
Yes, let me hear why CJ Stroud sucks.
I don't think he sucks. I just think that he caught lightning in a bottle, and now we got to figure out who he is. And I think some of the issues in Houston. I mean, that's a bad football team right now. You're winless. And you're going up against the Jags this week as a winless football team because you were not good at all against Tampa. And Baker balled out. And that defense is fine in Houston. You can't be 13-24 if you're CJ Stroud. And he's got to, if he's going to not be an effective passer, he's got to run the ball better than he does. And nobody's ever going to accuse him of being a mobile quarterback, right? Like he wants to stand in the pocket and deliver the football. The problem is when I look at Nico Collins and Woody Marks and I look at the guys he's really targeting, Dalton Schultz, I just am asking myself, dude, you have really good wide receivers. You have really good targets. Your defense is really good. Nick Chubb is a decent back. What is wrong with the Houston Texans? I agree the line and the protection schemes are not good.
Yeah, I also think, though, that, I mean, I know you said, Baker balled his ass off, but I think it's a little more than that. I think, Baker played really well, but give the Bucks a lot of credit in that game. Like CJ Stroud and the offense did what they had to do. They drove down, score the touchdown. You're in control. You're leading the game late, and your defense couldn't stop the Bucks. Like, and I agree that CJ Stroud, with a 19 QBR for the game is not great, but
Who is he? Tua Tagovailoa, your mama? Yeah. Mike McDaniel's on the
loss, dude.
Yeah, very frustrating loss. Buffalo Bills 3-0. Believe that, playa. Okay, well, the problem is that it hasn't been an impressive 3-0. And I know that people are like, well, Monty, 3-0's 3-0, fat ass. What are you talking about? What is so concerning is your defense hasn't been amazing. Your offense has been fantastic. Their defense has not been amazing. And if you look at their games, they very well could be 1-2. They should have. Buffalo, the Dolphin game. Are we saying that we are incredibly impressed with the Dolphins defense? Did you see the interceptions? Big Daddy Magic, in all seriousness, even with that bucket of chicken wings you sent me the other night that you were eating, you could have intercepted those passes from Tua, right? Like, I mean, I like Buffalo and I like what their offense is, but I'm telling you right now, this bullshit out of Tua cannot continue. There is no way that if you are Tua Tagovailoa, you can throw that interception into quadruple coverage brackets with a guy on your guy and a linebacker watching you running to intercept it's a terrible throw. I mean, it is a terrible throw. And I furthermore, looking at the scheme that Miami was running there, you had way better options because you threw it to a tight end that never turned around to look at you. So as much as I love the fucking fact Buffalo is 3-0 and their offense is scintillating, they should be 1-2. And they certainly were gifted the Tua win.
Yeah, I don't know that I would agree they should be 1-2. I would agree they should be 2-1.
How did you whoa. How did they win? Bro, are you serious?
Yeah.
Have we already forgotten the Ravens game?
No, that's what I'm saying. You should be 2-1. You should have lost to the Ravens. The Ravens took a dump and gave that game away. So you should have lost that game. You didn't, but you should have. You beat the piss out of the Jets, as you should have. And then that game last night was much closer than it should have been. And then your defense got turnovers. So it is what it is. I mean, I agree that you know that wasn't a dominated, like 31-21 makes it look like you dominated them and you didn't. But ultimately you're 3-0. You caught a break against the Ravens.
100%.
And quite frankly, you don't really see anybody again until you play the Chiefs in 4 weeks.
I am exceptionally concerned about the Bills defense. I am really worried about that defense. And I don't care how many guys are out. Your job is to have depth and be well coached, and they have neither. All right, let's get back on the schneid because we got to talk about Jake's country up here. Oregon State, tree-hugging mother going to Eugene where Jake is going to molest and carrot sticks that he never does with suppositories. He's going to have flats with blue cheese, and everything's going to be amazing.
The biggest load that we've seen.
As Oregon beats the hell and ends the career of whatever his name is at Oregon State. And
Wall Street.
Reser Stadium's going to fall on itself and implode all the way from Eugene. The Iraq and everything. I have to pee, Jake, so wax poetic about your boy Dan Lanning in Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, this obviously isn't going to be, this isn't really going to be much of a contest. I mean, 34.5 for Oregon is probably light, honestly, based on how Oregon's playing. I mean, listen, I'm not an Oregon fan. Autzon's a fun venue to go to. I've been there once since moving here. And, they're going to obviously be in control of this game. And, I think the biggest storyline coming out of this game is Dante Moore's, Heisman candidacy ultimately. I mean, if you win this game 65-3, Dante Moore is going to continue to lead the charts in the Heisman along with Mateer and company. But if you take it easy on him, if you're up 34-0 at halftime and, Dante Moore doesn't play in the second half, great. You still beat the hell out of this team. And, for me, I do agree that Oregon there's been some shade thrown at Oregon this year, no doubt about it. I think people are probably not talking, enough about how good this team is. But then again, what am I going to say? You got your ass beat by Ohio State in the college football playoff, and you haven't necessarily earned the, hey, we're playing nobody, but you're still the best team in the country hype. That's the problem. So if you beat the hell out of Oregon State and then you go to Petter-ass land and beat the hell out of Penn State and you win that game by
deep, please.
Yeah, cock on thigh. If you win that game by 10 points, 14 points, then I think people are going to start saying, all right, hey, like this team's pretty legit. So, I just, unfortunately, I truly in my heart, I wish there was more to talk about with this game. But unfortunately, I really think the only storylines in this game are Dante Moore's Heisman candidacy and Oregon leaving this game as healthy as possible, honestly.
So are you now on the bus with me that Dante Moore's a legitimate Heisman candidate?
I'm not going to say he's definitely on the list. I mean, obviously, like he has candidacy. People are talking about him, like people have him on their list. So by nature, that means he's a legitimate candidate. But for me, if I look at quarterbacks, he's not on my list yet until he beats a quality opponent. And if you beat Penn State, and you look good doing that, and you can hit the deep ball in that game, you can hit the finesse throws in that game. Hell, you even run for some first downs in that game. Then I'll start to say, all right, you looked real good.
Boy, that's interesting. I think this should be another 70-point orgasm explosiveness thing or I just think Oregon is going to absolutely torch Oregon State. I think they cover the 34.5. And then we get into this situation where we have to talk about who survives and who does not survive. Unfortunately, because I think when we start getting into the situation in Corvallis, it's not good. And it is so not good that you're in a place now where I think you have real questions about the leadership in that football office with Trent Bray. And I think that if they lose this game, if they get boat raced, you have to start talking about firing Trent Bray, which is shocking because Trenton is a guy that I didn't think this would ever even be a conversation at Oregon. I thought he would go there. He would do very well and get hired by somebody else because he's a guy that, how long has he been in Corvallis? 2018? He's not a newbie. He knows the lay of the land there. Yeah. It is shocking to me that for a guy who played there, left, came back, and has been a coach there, that this football team is this bad, this disorganized, this poorly coached, this bad fundamentally, and their quarterback is incredibly flawed and still putting up massive numbers. I mean, that all equates to you have a leadership problem, and Trent Bray is probably going to have to fall on the sword for it.
But I also think, I don't disagree with any of that, but I also think if you're going to talk about firing your head coach after getting your ass handed to you by Oregon, then you better have a real clear plan on how you're going to be a more attractive program, not only for coaches, but for players, right? I don't think that there's any question that Oregon State, Washington State, Boise State, kids are going to have questions about the future of your programs, right? They're going to have questions about the conference they're playing in.
Do I want to play there?
Yeah, do I want to play there? I agree with all the Pac-12 homers that, yes, the CW is available on YouTube TV, so it's easier to find than it used to be. But again, I just think that there are so many opportunities in college football to be on ESPN or ESPN Plus for kids nowadays. And if you're not going to be on ESPN or ESPN Plus every week, you can be on NBC. Or obviously, Fox. That I think that it's a real concern. I don't think you can legitimately at Oregon State just be like, oh yeah, all that stuff Monty just said is true. Fire his ass, put an interim in there, and oh yeah, things are going to get better, Monty, because they're not. That's the problem.
Read the graphic. Big Ten Network.
Yeah.
Oregon, a national championship contender. Big Ten Network. That's a huge problem. And I think when we really get into this, you have really good leadership in Scott Barnes. He's one of the best athletic directors in the country, and not even by my opinion. I think everybody recognizes that. He's not a guy that generally is going to let what's gone on the sidelines in practice and in the locker room by some accounts continue. If they get boat raced, I think he might be gone. And I think that would be a shame. The Buffalo Hunter, this will piss off Marty. Scott Barnes should be fired too.
Okay. Why though? Why? See,
why?
Again, this is a take where you again, I appreciate that you're here every day, dude, but this is a really dumb take unless you've got a really good reason.
You'll need to back that up because I just think look at what he's done for just getting Reeser renovated. You look at the talent that he has facilitated coming into that football program.
But clearly the conversation is what's gone on with the conference, right? That's the criticism.
He's done his major distraction.
Yeah. The program's fine. I don't think the Buffalo Hunter or any other Scott Barnes hater is talking about this because of the program. I think they're talking about, hey, dude, what the hell is going on with the Pac-12? Where's the university going in terms of alignment? And, what are we going to do to get back to the power level? Because ultimately, like, you got stiffed out of being a power school and you don't really have a real clear way back to that yet. That's the issue.
Yeah. Yeah. Dax Johnson. What's up, Dax? BYU or ECU? BYU. I just don't know. Is it going to be 16-10 in a grinded out game where Bear can't figure out how to get his him and pull it out of his him? Or is this going to be 31-17, 38-21? I think BYU gets a defensive score here, but the Buffalo Hunter reason Scott Barnes waited too long to jump ship and leave the Pac-12. He didn't actually. Now the program is in a tailspin. They were in a great spot before the meltdown.
But what would you have him do, bro? Like, what was he going to do?
He tried to get out.
Yeah.
He tried to get out. He tried to get to the Big Ten. He tried to get to the Big 12. He tried to get to the ACC. The problem is Oregon State is not the attractive brand that a Stanford or Cal is. And I think he got outmaneuvered on some levels. And I just think he also believed that the Pac-12 would stay together. And he couldn't get out to the Big Ten and he couldn't get out to the Big 12. And so I think he had very few choices. And Pac-12 fan tells me I'm a liar, but it's being reported, what we've reported. Scott Barnes reached out to the Big 12 and tried to explore membership within 2025. They've had those conversations recently. So I think before they sign the grant of rights, I think certainly.
Yeah, I don't have any problem holding Dude accountable for the fact that he should have started making calls when UCLA and SC went to the Big Ten. I don't have any problem having that conversation because I've always maintained, and this is not unique to Oregon State, but just because it's Scott Barnes, if you're a secondary brand in any conference, if a major player leaves, like the Big 12 is a really good example of this. When Texas and OU were negotiating their exit to the SEC, if you were a lower end brand in that conference and you weren't like, all right, hey, what does this do to us? If this conference starts to get on shaky footing, who can we call? Where should we go? Like, what's our contingency plan? That's a mistake. And unfortunately, that's led Oregon State to be in the position they're in. Now, the other side of this coin, though, that needs to be talked about is the conversation we had yesterday on the show, which is this new entity is starting to get some structure to it and starting to get some momentum to it. And that's Oregon State's pathway back, in my opinion. Oregon State right now should not be focused on paying their head coach a ton of money to try to win games right now. You're just too far behind the curve. That's not the play here. In my opinion, the play is fundraise your ass off, make as much money as you possibly can in your football program, being that you're not going to the CFP regularly, pool the money, and make sure you're financially prepared to get into the new entity at the power level. Because if you do that, then you can go out and say, okay, cool. The new entity's 2 years away. Let's hire a head coach. Let's get in there. And now you're right back to where you were and you can put the Pac-12 disaster behind you. But I just think it's a really tough situation overall. You're going to have to wait.
Yep, I agree. Michigan at Nebraska, 2:30 CBS Sports and Paramount Plus. This one is going to be very interesting. I think this is really important. I think this is a massive game for Nebraska, for Matt Rule. This is one of those games where I think this game means it just is significantly more to Nebraska than it does Michigan. I think this game is so imperative for Nebraska. I think you are getting really good play out of Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. I think you are finally starting to see that Matt Rule's system this year is paying dividends, and you're starting to see a defense that when you start taking some of the numbers and you start looking at opponents and you start saying to yourself, well, you know, what is this defense doing well? There's no doubt they're getting behind the line of scrimmage. I think there is no doubt that they are creating disruptions. They've already got a defensive touchdown. They've played 3 games, which I think is important. And you see a lot of room for improvement. They don't get to the quarterback. They don't sack the quarterback a lot. But I think one of the things that's really important also to note is, this offense at Nebraska is actually turning out to be pretty good. And I am really curious how many people buy Matt Rule turning Nebraska football around. Because, Jake, I don't think you do.
No, I don't. I think that he just hasn't done it yet. And I don't know, like this is a really good opportunity. I think that you're really fortunate to be playing Michigan when they have a quarterback that is not a great thrower of the football. That he will, but yes, correct. Yes. Bear Underwood. Yes.
Yes.
So I think if you're Nebraska, you're really fortunate. I would agree that the offense has been rolling lately, but the reality is in this game, this game's got, fist fight written all over it, meaning Michigan knows that they're in a place where they're struggling to score points and they need to possess the football. And, they also know that on defense, they've always been the guy that's been able to come in and knock people back and hold them down and do that. And I think that's the style of play you're going to see out of Michigan in this game. And the question is going to be, does Nebraska have the screen game ready to go? Because you're going to need it in this game, without a doubt. I think Michigan's going to be pressuring Dylan Raiola all day long. And from there, the only question is, what's Nebraska's offense capable of against Michigan's defense? Because if you come out and you look mediocre in the first quarter and Michigan's got a bunch of momentum, you're asking for trouble in this game, I'm telling you. But if Nebraska comes out and looks competent and scores on one of their first 2 possessions, then I think it'll be pretty comfortable for Nebraska. But again, that's where what you said about my feelings about Matt Rule and this team, I'm not confident. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, I fully expect Nebraska, to cover this 1.5 number, and they're going to be just fine. No, I can't say that confidently. I'm not there yet with this team.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how all this plays out, because I also think without a question, when you start looking at Michigan's defense, one of the things that really worries you is their defense has not been good this year. They're in the bottom half of the Big Ten, giving up 271 yards a game, which really is shocking. And one of the things that stands out to you, their coverage numbers are brutal. They're in coverage efficiency, likelihood of completion, they're third to last in the Big Ten on throws over 10 yards. I mean, their coverage has not been great. And one of the other things I think that is really interesting is they're barely top half in yards allowed running, which is really surprising. And then when you start looking at things like points per game, they're in the bottom half points per game, and it doesn't seem like a lot. They've given up 14.8 points a game. But when you start looking at the best defenses in this conference, Ohio State, Illinois, Indiana, Nebraska has given up 8 points a game. And I think one of the real questions is, can Michigan pick themselves up and find a way off to score enough points to offset Nebraska's pretty unbelievable offense, number 1 in the Big Ten in passing, at 1,099 yards, averaging 366 passing yards a game. And then you start looking at the fact that you are living and dying rushing the football for Michigan, who's third in rushing offense per game. And the thing that really worries you is that that's all you've been able to do, because you also have not been able to throw the football almost at all. You're barely averaging 200 yards passing a game at Michigan. I think this is tough. This is a tough road to hoe for Michigan. I don't know how, if you are Michigan, you find a way to win this game if you can't pass the football. And it's something that I think you have to look at because, again, when we look at rushing yards a game, Nebraska's defense is not great. They're giving up 136 rushing yards a game. And I think that's where Michigan's going to have to make their hay. And that means you're going to have to let Bryce Underwood run and be super creative with this offense. And I don't know that those two things jive based on how bad he's been against better quality opponents.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the Oklahoma game, right? Because that's obviously your best opponent so far for Michigan. And, the thing that I didn't like coming out of that Oklahoma game, and we talked about this a little bit, the following Monday is I just didn't like that Justice Haynes only got 19 carries in that game. And I didn't quite understand, because again, we have the same setup here, right? It's road game, like you're playing a good team. I want to see, and again, I'm not even a Michigan fan, but just knowing Bryce Underwood with where he's at in his development, because I want to make sure I continue to stay on the record. I think this guy's going to be really good. He's just not there yet. Like, he's got Heisman caliber talent, but he just is not there in his development quite yet. So this is the developmental season. So with that being the case, Michigan, their formula has always been, hey, we're going to beat your ass up front. Our offensive line is going to move you and going to allow guys like Justice Haynes to eat. But against Nebraska, that's kind of a different conversation because Nebraska does not lack in size up front.
That's right.
So it's not like you're going to be able to just roll in there and be like, yeah, dude, Justice Haynes, 30 carries, 150 yards just out of Justice on his own. Bryce can give us another 100 on the ground. We're going to be just like, I don't think that that's going to take place. But I think if you possess the ball long enough to give Justice Haynes even 25 carries, if you could get to 30 carries, like that will be the defining number. But I'm not confident one way or the other in this game. I feel like this is a game where Nebraska will let us down. They should win this game, but I feel like they will let us down. And I feel like Michigan finds a way to win this game by 1 point, 3 points, like barely covers this number.
I think this is a game that'll be won in the first 2 or 3 series of the game. I mean, Michigan's going to come out and run the football, and can Nebraska answer? I think Nebraska can answer. And the biggest question I have is, you're going to run the football and eat the clock for Michigan, and you're going to throw the football and try to outscore the short clock that you have if you're Nebraska.
Which could lead to a very bad game for Nebraska.
I agree. But can you find a way, if you're Nebraska, to get off the field on third down? Because Bryce Underwood's been terrible on second down. He has been rated, passing the football, he's been rated a 32 on second down throws. A 32.
Yeah,
which
Michigan's
is
3 for 14.
Terrible.
Just in the OU game, they were 3 of 14 on third down.
Terrible. And to that point, he's been rated a 24 throwing the football on third down. So he's worse on third down. He's really bad on second down, and he's worse on third down. Can you find a way to stop Michigan from getting into 2nd and 3, 3rd and 1? Because if you can do that, you're going to win the game. If you continue to give up 6, 7, 8 yards on first down, Michigan's going to win this game in a very low-scoring game. Because there's a reason this game's at 47.5. And that's because most of the boys in Vegas believe Michigan's going to burn a ton of clock in this game, as they should. The real question is Bryce Underwood a better thrower on 2nd and 3rd down than he's been at any point in this season? Because if he's not, they're going to lose.
Yeah, and I just think that, again, I don't mean to keep talking about this OU game. I just think it's a good, measure because you're playing Nebraska. You ran for 4.6 yards a carry in that game as a team.
Yes.
And dude only got 19 carry. You're running 4 yards a carry. And you only gave your back 19 carries. How does that happen, dude?
Go back and look at the first game of the year against New Mexico. Justice Haynes only had 16 carries, and he averaged 10 yards a carry.
How?
And you only scored 34 points. That's the thing. And I would remind you, you only scored 34 points and your running back had 3 touchdowns. That's 21 points on his own, right? That's what worries you. And the thing that really stands out to you is that was against a really average-ass New Mexico team. And what Michigan fan is hanging on to is that you looked really good against Central Michigan. But it's the theory of life in Lubbock, Texas. Does it matter if you're playing Jimmy Ball, if you're playing the Little Sisters of the Poor sewing circle? I would tell you it does not matter. And it's not impressive. And somebody's going to prove a point. There are 1 or 2 guys who can come out of this game winners. And only one of them will. It's Bryce Underwood or it's Matt Rule. And this is that opportunity for Matt Rule to check a box on his resume where, for real, we beat Michigan. If Matt Rule loses this game, this season could get away from Nebraska. I think it's that important for the Huskers to win this game. And I don't know. I don't know exactly where to go with it. I feel like Nebraska is going to find a way to win this game because I just don't trust. I do not trust Bryce Underwood to throw the ball well in pressure situations against a P4 defense. Not yet, because we haven't seen it. So
yeah, I would agree with that.
I'm going to go 17-14. Nebraska wins the game.
I don't mind that score at all.
Very low scoring game.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2017.
I'm a little concerned about Michigan's ability to cover the pass. They're not good in pass against the pass. And I also think if I shouldn't keep calling him Patrick
I think you're going to see a ton of I think fat ass Mahomes lookalike is going to see a lot of pressure in this game. And I do think that you mark my words on that broadcast during this game, they will talk about his ability or his decision making and throwing it away versus not throwing it away, because they will. I think because they're not good against the pass, they're going to pressure the hell out of him most of this game.
Well, he's also not a good runner. And I think that's the one thing that John Mateer really broke some hearts for Michigan, when the way he ran the ball in critical moments in that game.
Facts.
And I think that Raiola is a guy that's not a great runner. I think he's too Ben Roethlisberger and not enough Patrick Mahomes in that way. And I think when you look at the way he throws the ball, now he throws the ball exceptionally well. Again, they have the best passing offense in the Big Ten today. That's where you're going to have to win and lose this game. And if Raiola throws the ball well, and if you can get off the field on third down, Nebraska will win the game. 17-14, I'm taking the Huskers to win the game. So it wears me out when teams are having good running games and just abandon the run. It makes me crazy.
So dumb. Like, let me count. Okay, so BYU, Michigan, let's see, Alabama, Georgia, Miami, without question. Utah in some games has not run it enough. More like Utah's had opportunities where they could run it even more than they already do, and they just stopped running it. And it's a plague, man. I'm telling you, like these teams that like Oregon tomorrow. Like if you're Oregon and you're up 35-0 at the half, why the hell is Dante Moore playing the second half? Why are you not just bringing in second string buddy and running the damn football?
Because it's college football.
Yeah, I guess, dude.
It's college football, and I don't believe that you should. I don't think you should take it easy. We're not in the business of taking it easy. I think that's the hardest
I'm not
part.
saying I don't even care about Oregon State. What I'm saying is that you got Penn State is the game that matters, you know. And I just look at some of these teams this week, and I'm like, yeah, like, dude, if you're Miami, you better run the hell out of the ball this week, bro. If you're Michigan, Justice Haynes damn well better get 25 carries in that game.
Yeah, I don't know if he will or not. I think it's going to be very interesting. Yeah. Nebraska 21, Michigan 20. I think that could be close. And I think it is. I think it'll be very interesting. to see how that goes. What are you guys arguing out? BDM, the Bills have to fix their defense, and our bet is for playoff games, not regular season. Oh boy.
What are you doing, dude? Like, why do this to yourself, bro?
And I have to chaperone an AA group in 8 minutes. I hope you'll have all a great weekend. Go Frogs.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
James, you're the MVP of the comment section, and you're a beloved member of the Monty family, but if you don't honor your bet, you are worse than a horse face.
And I'll see you in Valhalla.
Hey, slow down the horse face talk. You're better than that. Okay. All right, couple more, because then I won't. We need to move on with our lives, because this is the one that everybody's been waiting for us to talk about. All right, Florida wins in a blowout. Auburn at Oklahoma.
Bruh.
What?
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
All right, boys. This is the one where I think it's very clear who wins this game.
Dude.
I think Miami's the better football team.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I think Carson Beck's the better quarterback. And I think Florida's going to upset Miami.
No.
That's what fucking ticks me the fuck off.
All you need to talk about is the past for Florida football teams. 5-5 last year when they beat LSU and Ole Miss. 2023. Not a good football team. They dominated Tennessee. The biggest issue is all those wins that I just mentioned were in Gainesville. Can they go on the road? And can they win games? Not with what I saw from DJ Lagway last week. But I don't believe he's that same guy. And one of the things that Florida has yet to show is that they can get after the quarterback. And for everything that Carson Beck is, when he's under pressure and you make him move, he will throw up fly balls. And that's where Florida will win this game. Can Florida get after it against Miami? I think this is a turnover won the game. It is possible that Florida's defense can win the game. I think Carson Beck knows what he's doing, but just has mental lapses. And that's what scares me in this game. Because I think Florida's defense is great on third down. It's one of the best third down defenses in the country. They have taken a few away. They haven't given up a lot of points. I think they've given up 36 points all season, Florida. I say all season, the first 3 weeks of the season. This game just does not pass the smell test. There is something here, because I think if Florida goes to Miami and gets torched, I think Billy Napier gets fired. And I look at the South Florida loss, and I think Florida made so many mistakes in that game. Another really bad interception. A really, really bad interception. But it's not like you got beat fundamentally in that game. You got outkicked, obviously. But there was nothing in the fourth quarter for South Florida, because Florida's defense can actually play. And there's just something about this game I hate for Miami. I don't know what it is. They should win this game by 10 points. This should absolutely be a 21-13, 24-13 Florida loss. Miami win. I can't tell you why. I just don't love this game for Miami, and I think Florida is going to win the game.
Yeah, for me, I agree with everything you just said except Florida winning. I think that Miami should win this game by 10 points. The thing that scares me about Florida and specifically about DJ Lagway is you were held scoreless last week in the second half by LSU. And a lot of that is DJ Lagway just simply throwing the game away, right?
That's one of the best defenses in the country. That's what a lot of that is.
Okay. I mean, and that's true. So, give LSU respect. But at the same time, if you're going to throw 5 against LSU, I think you're good for 2 against Miami. And
no.
Okay. Well,
okay. Based on what do you say that?
Based on the fact that he's not a good thrower of the football. He doesn't have touch. He is not an on-target thrower. If you put pressure on him, he is more than happy to put the ball in danger. And
yeah, see, I disagree. I think LSU tortured him. I think LSU secondary is elite. I think when you really take a second and you look at the way Miami has played football, they're a middle of the table defense in the ACC. Strictly middle of the table. This is a defense that has given up 25 points a game. Let that sink in. They've given up 25 points a game. Now, their offense has scored 44 points a game with obviously some games that are interesting. But you look at the way that CJ Carr opened up that defense in the second half. I'm telling you, Florida is a significantly better team, and DJ Lagway is a significantly better quarterback than we saw last week against an elite defense. And I am telling you now, Miami's defense is not elite by any measure, in any circumstance. They are not elite. And if you start hunting and you start looking at the numbers on DJ Lagway and you start understanding that Florida is 10th in passing, that DJ Lagway, who is being painted as the worst quarterback in the world, Florida's passing offense is 10th in a league where you have prolific passing offenses. Now, are the numbers stellar? They're not, but he's completing 70% of his passes. Who would have thought that? Now, does he have 7 touchdowns and 6 interceptions? Yes. He's averaging, and this is amazing, for a guy that sucks, he's averaging 253 yards a game. And look at who he's played. That's the thing. He's played South Florida and LSU, who are 2 pretty good defenses. So DJ Lagway is not nearly as bad as everybody is making him out to be. He had a terrible game against LSU. There's no coming around or making excuses other than the fact that he threw for 287 yards and he completed 67% of his passes and he still threw 5 interceptions. He's not nearly the terrible quarterback everybody makes him out to be.
I'm not saying the guy sucks. I'm saying he doesn't value possessing the football. That's
in one game. One game.
You turned it over against USF as well.
One time. One interception.
You should not.
In a game where he threw the ball okay. I don't agree with that at all. You cannot say that DJ Lagway doesn't value the ball. He got eaten up by one of the elite defenses in college football.
Okay.
I don't think you can say he doesn't value. I'm sorry. I don't think you could say he doesn't value the football, in my opinion. And I understand that LSU doesn't have one of the best secondaries. I totally agree with that. I really struggle when we start saying that LSU, who in a league of elite defenses is 4th in the SEC in defense, that's a really good defense. And I think one of the biggest issues is Florida's defense is, in my opinion, is not a great. They don't sack the quarter. They're dead last in sacks in the SEC, which scares you. So, look, I'm telling you that Florida's defense is 7th in the SEC, and I think that I think they're going to win this game. I do. I don't think Florida is nearly as bad as anybody's given them credit for. And yeah, We'll see. We'll see. You seem annoyed with me right now.
Yeah, I just don't. I'm not saying that DJ Lagway sucks. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you're going on the road and you're playing a rivalry game. And yes, I agree that Miami's defense is not LSU's defense. There's no question about that. Nobody's saying they are. But what I am saying is that I just have a really hard time saying, hey, well, DJ Lagway, it's hard for me to be like, yeah, he values possession when you turned it over that many times in one game. If you had only had one interception against LSU or even say you turned it over 3 times against LSU and 2 of those were scheme based and then one of those like hit a guy in the hands. Okay, cool. All right, cool. I'll cut you some slack. But 5 in a game, that's where I guess we just disagree. There's nothing I've seen from Lagway as a thrower that says, yeah, dude, this guy is ready to throw his team to a victory. What I see from him is he's got a huge arm. He lacks touch a lot of the time. And then sometimes he makes good throws. Like, it's very hit or miss. It's very hit or miss for me.
Okay. Okay. I understand he threw 5 picks and I think 3 pick sixes. And I think a couple of those pick sixes were horrendous. I totally agree. But you look at the third quarter pick six, the wide receiver ran the wrong route. And I don't think that throw was DJ Lagway's fault.
So 4 of them then.
And you look at the second interception. Absolutely. He threw into triple coverage into the end zone where he overthrew his wide receiver. Terrible throw, terrible decision. But you have 6 minutes to go in a game where you're down 10 points and you have happy feet. I totally agree with you. I think when you look at his body of work and you look at the all 22 and you don't accidentally throw for 287 on 67% and throw 5 interceptions. That is a unicorn of a game. And I think that he is going to have a coming out party against Miami. I truly do. I think, and frankly, if I'm the ACC, I hope Monty doesn't know nothing about ball. I actually hope I'm wrong because I think college football is better when Miami is good. I just think we'll find out. Yeah, Tony, this could be Tone. What if LSU saw something in Lagway like what defenses saw in Rick Meyer? Thanks for the Rick Meyer mention. I think a lot of the interceptions, 2 of the interceptions were 100% on him. There is no doubt. He does not have a problem valuing the football. I mean the pick six was not his. The 1 pick six was not his fault. The interception to the end zone, I agree, was his fault. There is no doubt about that. But I think when you start looking at the way that Florida has some schematic issues, I don't think there's any doubt about that. He hit 2 of his interceptions were on his third option. So Florida's line was protecting quite well. And I think that's something that is very hard to understand. And if I'm Billy and I'm trying to save my job, I'm getting him out of the pocket. You have to get him out of the pocket. And the one that you can't understand is the throw over the middle in the first, I think it was the first half, where you threw it right to a linebacker. I agree. That's being a shitty quarterback. But the elite throws, man, I'm going to say that this will be 28-27. Florida is going to win this game.
Do you think they win it late?
I think they win it late. And I think it's a long drive and a field goal. And I think that one of the things that I think Florida does really well, they punt the football very well. They can control field position. I think when you start looking at the run numbers, who's the number 1 rushing defense in the SEC? LSU. But who's number 5? Florida. And when you look at Florida, the fact that Florida only gives up 3 yards an attempt and they only give up 87 yards a game, Miami's been winning running the football, controlling the clock, keeping back out of leverage throw situations. Because again, I'll just go back to the touchdown over the top against Notre Dame. That throw that's intercepted. If you throw that against Florida, they're going to pick it off.
I would agree with that.
Right. So that's why I'm saying, like,
if they don't pick it off at a minimum, dude's going to the hospital.
Right. And I think the other issue is Florida doesn't run the football well at all. They're second to last in the SEC in rushing offense. The whole entire thing is on DJ Lagway. And we'll see. It's going to be an incredibly close game. It is going to be an incredibly close game. And it'll be one of two things. It'll either be a blowout, or it'll be a blowout and Billy will get fired, or Florida's going to win the game. I don't see that this will be an in-between. This isn't going to be like a 21-17 Miami win. That's not how these two teams play football.
No, it's not. I would agree with that completely.
It's not how they play football. It's not how they what jumps out on the tape about DJ Lagway is he's got weapons and he is a really good thrower of the football. And I think that you're going to see that. I think you're going to see that. And it could be a very difficult night. Hopefully I'm wrong, because, again, I think what's better for college football is if Miami wins this game.
Yeah, I think that this is – I like 28-24, and I know that, you don't like an in-between game, but I struggle to see either of these teams scoring 30 points in this game. That's my problem, and on the other side, I'm certainly not going to sit here and be like, yeah, Florida's going to struggle to score 20. I think they're going to score 20 all day. So that's why I think it's a middle 20s game. And I mean, I don't want Lagway to have a bunch of turnovers. If he just limits the turn, like if he just has one turnover in this game, 0 or 1, I think Florida's in a really good spot here. If the one turnover isn't a pick six, you're still fine. But if you throw another pick six and you give Miami 7 additional points that they didn't have to do a damn thing for, you're asking to lose this game, in my opinion. So
I don't disagree.
That's the part that concerns me. I would agree that Miami is certainly not LSU. Don't think anyone is confused by that. But this is one of those games, not only for Billy, but for DJ Lagway and Florida overall, where it's going to decide your season. You're 1-2 right now. You win this game, you're back to 500. You're rolling. If you don't, you're 1-3, and now you're probably only going to be a 3-win team because you play in the SEC. That's the problem. So
yeah, I think you got to figure out who Florida is, because if their defense has been solid all year, it's just the fact that, do you recover from a 5 interception performance?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, it's not like he didn't do good things in that game, right?
That's the shocking part. He did actually a whole lot of good things in that game.
It's just the problem is the highlight tape shows pick sixes and you making bad decisions. Not good
that's
decisions.
what everybody does, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy to me, when you're 38-52 with 1 interception and 4 touchdowns, nobody's talking about how you're a terrible quarterback. Those were his numbers before LSU. In his first 2 games, now Long Island, who cares? USF, we know, is a pretty good football team. He is 38 of 52 for 344 yards, 4 touchdowns and an interception. And he's been sacked only twice. So I just think he had no idea what he was looking at with LSU. And this is make or break for DJ Lagway. It's as simple as that. Billy gets fired or they win this game. It's as simple as that. Yeah. And I know that this sounds like these big swings, but it's as simple as that.
Well, it's not as big as it seems, because again, you're 1-3 if you lose this game. Like it's over for you. You're done. You're not going to CFP. You're not going to CFP. You're not winning the SEC. You're not even. I mean, again, with your schedule, you would struggle to be a 500 team at the end of the year losing this game. So I think
if Florida loses this game, and I am not being extreme, if Florida loses this game, I don't know that they win another game the rest of the season. Their schedule is at Miami, Texas A&M on the road, Mississippi State, Georgia, at Kentucky, at Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Florida State.
You do see. Damn. You're losing the last 2 weeks. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, Kentucky is obviously the one, but you start looking at Kentucky, and I haven't watched a lick of tape on them. But we're going to find out tomorrow because they're at South Carolina, and that is a 7:45 kickoff on the SEC network. So we're going to find out who Kentucky is tomorrow. But Kentucky might be dead by the time that game happens because Kentucky's schedule is at South Carolina, at Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, at Auburn, Florida. Fuck. Welcome to the SEC, right? Like,
seriously.
This is what, wow, Monty, the Big Ten's way better. Okay, you keep smoking that tree, kid, because this league will do it to you. Yeah. And LSU, I'm telling you now, between Kentucky and Florida, I don't want anything to do with those schedules.
Let me ask you this. If you're Florida and you're a 3-loss team somehow, some miracle, you're a 3-loss team at the end of the year, is that good enough to get you into the CFP with the change system?
Yes.
With that schedule,
if
I think you've got a real case.
Yeah, Florida loses 3 games, they're getting an at-large bid.
Yeah.
And they might well play for an SEC championship game. The problem is Billy Napier ain't that guy. And he's never been that guy, and he's not going to be that guy because you're looking at DJ Lagway and you have people saying he can't play the quarterback position.
Yeah.
Yes, he can. And I cannot stress this enough. And I know that it's not fun or popular. Let's bench the quarterback, Monty. DJ Lagway sucks. He sucks like Debbie does. Dallas sucks. The problem the problem is he's a sophomore and he's essentially just a kid. He's a young buck who's never had quality coaching, in my opinion. I'm telling you, he's got the talent to be the best quarterback in the country. He's got the coaching to be the worst quarterback in the worst football league in the country. That's who we're talking about. And he needs to stay healthy. But this is year 2 of a kid that's a phenom. He is an absolute phenom. And I'm going to tell you again, if they lose this game, I think Billy Napier, there's a better than average chance he gets fired.
Yeah, because that's an attractive as hell job.
And that's
a
Garrett Riley job.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Right? I think there's a real chance he gets fired if they lose this game.
And who could blame him?
Not
honestly.
me. Not me, dude. And I just...
Yeah, for the record, I hope that he doesn't get fired. I hope they win the game. I hope it all works out.
I think they're going to win the game. I think this could be one of those 60-something point games. In my opinion, if this goes over the total, Florida will win the game.
As a college football fan and as a guy who loves big games, I hope it's that kind of game. I hope it's 35-31, instant classic, Georgia, Tennessee all over again.
I think it might be the only way Florida wins the game. And I think there's a chance Florida wins the game.
Yeah.
I think there's a real chance Florida wins the game. So what's your official score?
I'm going to go 28-24 Miami. I think Florida covers, but I think Miami wins the game.
34-31, Florida wins.
Man, we are going to have something to talk about Monday if that's the case, bro.
That's
looking a hell of a game.
One of the things at PFF, and again, I'm a PFF believer. I subscribe. I buy their stats. I think if you don't know what you're looking at. One of the things that really stands out to me, opponents' first downs. Florida, which is, this number will blow your mind. Because you look at Alabama, who arguably has the best defense in the SEC, or you look at Texas. Do you understand that Texas gives up 13.5 first downs a game? How many first downs do you think Florida gives up a game, Jake? Just guess. Texas gives up 13.5 first downs a game.
16.
Georgia gives up 13.5 first downs a game.
17.
Alabama gives up 14 first downs a game. LSU gives up 16 a game. Florida gives up 10 first downs a game. I said 10 first downs a game. Oklahoma gives up 9. This defense is better than we're giving them credit for. And the other thing that'll just absolutely make you piss yourself. What's the best offense in the SEC in your opinion?
Gosh, probably Tennessee.
Tennessee averages 28 first downs a game. Florida averages 24.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it is.
Listen, I understand. The numbers are not as bad as the optics. I get it. I get it. I think that, you know what the problem is, dude? Is it's not just that you turned it over, because not all turnovers are made equal, right? So
Correct.
Like, if you had turned it over and hadn't given up any points, okay, we're having a different conversation. But I think that is the fabric of this game tomorrow. Hey, if I am 100% confident DJ Lagway will throw 1 interception in this game. I have 0 doubts. The question is it just 1? And is it a down the field, you took a shot, turned it over at the 15, and your guy just didn't make the play kind of turnover? Or is it Tua last night throwing it to the other team?
No, it's is it the throw that he made in the first half, DJ, last week, over the middle, over one linebacker into the hands of another who cut off another linebacker or another safety to make the interception? That's the one you can't have.
Yeah.
The pick sixes you can't have on the outside. But I'm also going to point this stat out because I think it matters. And you know the answer. Who's thrown the most pass attempts in the SEC this year?
I mean, probably Florida.
DJ Lagway. Who's got the 3rd highest completion percentage in the SEC this year?
Yeah.
DJ Lagway. He can play the position. And are his touchdown numbers gaudy? No, he's tied for 4th with 7 touchdowns. He's not Ty Simpson. You know, like, I mean, the kid can play the position. I think
he
Florida
is. That's the problem, dude. I think he is Ty Simpson. He's just not there yet. I think his upside.
Ty Simpson is asked to do a hell of a lot less, and this is one of the problems.
Yeah,
this is one of the problems with Napes and that coaching staff. How many times will I say this? They're not running an offense that plays to DJ's strengths.
Yes.
That's one of the problems. You know, like it just.
We'll see how it plays out, dude. Well, yeah.
31-27, Florida wins.
Okay.
31-27, Florida wins. All right, real quick, can we rip Aaron Rodgers before we have to go? Did you guys hear this? Aaron Rodgers is being accused of stealing, of theft. Dude, do you really steal from teammates?
Before I met Aaron Rodgers for the first time, I've been wearing wired headphones. I have a photo on my Instagram to prove it. When I went to his place this summer to throw with him, my headphones disappeared. So I think I have a conspiracy that Aaron Rodgers steals wired headphones. They were gone. They were laying there at his house. They were gone. I had to buy another pair.
It's like what they say, right? Imitation is the highest form of flattery. And I just felt like, man, I'm making an impact.
Didn't Ben say he stole his headphones?
If you come by the house and leave something, ipso facto, it's mine.
What the hell does ipso facto even mean, dude?
Ipso facto, it's mine.
What does that mean, dude? That's Aaronese for I'm a dick. That's what that is. That's, hey, I'm cool. I'm Aaron Rodgers. I'm the old head in the room. Oh, you left your wired headphones on my coffee table? Oh, yeah, you know what? They were just on my playbook, and yeah, somehow they worked their way into my ears, and now they're mine. I didn't steal them, though. They were just there. It is what it is, dude. Ipso facto. Jerk.
You know what that means, essentially. It means by default.
Ipso facto, it's mine.
I think it is remarkable that ayahuasca boy rolls out. And the best part is, look at his headphones here.
Oh, fucking God.
Bro, like, come on, dude. What do you? Let me guess, Aaron. So not only did you steal your teammates' headphones off your own coffee table, you're probably listening to "What Better Ways Can You Get That Ass High Off of Ayahuasca in the Darkness" podcast.
And
that's probably what you're listening to.
And so, what's wrong with that? You smoke trees like there's no tomorrow. Do you actually light trees on fire and smoke them?
No, I don't.
Okay, just checking. I was thinking maybe.
Ipso facto, it's mine.
Come on, dude.
That's funny. That Aaron Rodgers being a little handsy. That's funny. That is
girth.
That is really funny, in my opinion.
Yeah, whatever, dude. Whatever. Can't afford AirPods or what?
I just bought the new AirPods today, by the way.
Yeah. Excited about that?
My wife's pissing me off. She's going to Europe, and then we're going to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And she has the ability to translate through her headphones.
Yeah.
And I want the ability to translate through my headphones so I can understand wifey's. Frankly, because I struggle to speak my wife's language, which is why she's probably going to dump my fat ass. But the point is, I ordered the new iPods.
AirPods?
So shut up. Who cares?
They don't take any shit.
Yeah. I ordered the AirPod 3s today.
Nice, dude.
So that I can speak wifenese. Speaking of wifenese, before we go, look at this graphic. You can only eat from one letter for the rest of your life.
This is an easy answer, dude. This is such an easy answer, bro. Come
on.
Now,
lazy millennials who don't like food that is not a chicken burrito are going to say G. Not, oh, golly G, but the letter G, because they won't get outside their comfort zone.
It's the rest of your life, bro. What do you mean?
Never mind your butthole is going to get cored out by the water in Mexico.
You take you a douche. You don't sit there and look at it. You flush it and move on.
Right? That's how I live my life. But let's get something straight. If you don't choose D, you're dead to me.
Okay, hold on a second, dude. Are we talking about food or actual D here, dude?
Sucking a ding dong.
Funny enough, my wife chose the D on this graph, so
ipso facto, it's mine.
It's my girl. There's no doubt it's D. It's absolutely not A, B, or C.
Yeah, what's going on in A here, dude? Like, what are we cooking up there?
What's going on in E? What's going on in E, and how much malaria do I have to get to eat an E?
And I'll see you in Valhalla.
I think it is D. It is possibly B based on the way the countries are lined out. But it is absolutely not A. It is absolutely not H. Fuck Canada. And it is absolutely not C. Right? It's not C.
Bro, there's no question it's G. It has to be.
There's no question it's the D.
Come on, bro.
God, Shota is just giving batting practice to the Reds. Anyway, I think it's absolutely D. And I think G is second. And I think H, A, B, and C are absolutely off limits. And I'm not eating an E because I don't want malaria. Okay. That's where I come down on the whole thing.
Okay.
Well, Mike Phillips says D or G. Steely says G. Joey Harper says ain't no Pepto to cover F.
Dude, I'm telling you, bro.
Brother. Dude.
F is rough, bro.
There's some stuff in South America. Depends on what kind of stuff we're talking about, but there's stuff. Wasikowski says new AirPods out already. Yes, and they're amazing. Oh no, he caught it. Thank God. Stadium guy James H also covers Chicago and New York City, so you can get thin crust and deep seat. But see,
hi, this is James. Welcome back.
Dude, Bro, I'm not doing H, bro. Your pitch earlier in the comments section for Canada, screw that, dude. I understand that the Canadians have a couple of things here, but I want my Mexican food, dude. And listen, all you hyenas that want to do D and want to have all your different kind of food, your different types of cuisines, your exotic dishes. Nah, I'm good, dude. I'm good.
So you're telling me you're going to eat crappy New York pizza. You're going to eat crappy New York pizza in lieu of either burritos or any kind of rice dish for the rest of your life. James, it explains why you have an implant in your ass. Like you can't.
So-called experts.
You can't do that. And of course, Wasikowski takes Russia.
Yeah, who knew? Yeah.
Who knew? The Iraq, exactly. Poutine. Ooh. What's the best food in A?
Otter.
I guess. Sea lion? I don't know.
Moose?
Mooses?
Polar bears?
How about moose knuckle?
Bro, Eric, dude, come on, dude. What are we doing? See, this is where you lose all credibility, bro. You lose all credibility with comments like that right there, dude. That's come on.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fine. And I am here to tell you that I just believe Chinese food, Thai food. Where's the king of Thailand today? This is the guy we need. Where's Greg Hawkins?
He's probably getting busy, dude.
That's the guy we need. All right. The Monty Show is always presented by our good friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com. Remind you, have a safe weekend. Enjoy the game. Please, God, let Notre Dame beat Purdue. Until Monday, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.